with this program, and that to me, going back to you kind of are what you are, that's something that I don't think we can expect to really make a difference or to really change all that much over the course of the next 5 weeks and potentially a bowl game if you do get that far. Because if it were going to get better, we would have seen something out of it by now, and we just haven't this year.
Totally. Like, again, with everything on this offense, if it were going to change, it would have done so by now, probably. Like, maybe this is like the final, like, kind of like chance for it to change, because now it's a second bye week and it's a chance to kind of like hit the reset button to some extent. Though you can't just change everything. You kind of have to roll with what you are. And look, offensively, like on the line, it's not good enough. It really isn't. You're up to, I think, 32 sacks now. And again, the point is that sacks aren't always all made equal. Not all of them are on the O-line. Some of them are on the tight end. Some are on the running back not blocking. Some of them are even on the receivers or the quarterbacks. It's on everyone. At the same time, 32 sacks is 32 sacks, and we're getting closer to 41 from last year. So I don't know. I think you just kind of got to live with it and just hope that everyone else can do their job, because it's not working up front.
This year, 2024, we have a rare instance of a double bye because of the way the calendar ends up working out. So this is the second opportunity we've had a chance to kind of sit back, breathe, and assess what this team is in the midst of the season. The last time was obviously following the Akron game a couple weeks ago before you took on Ole Miss, and obviously South Carolina came out and didn't look great at all in that game, but got beat by 24 points. So when you kind of assess where we're sitting right now, 3 days removed from the Oklahoma game, how do you compare that to where we were following the Akron game, where Carolina was sitting at 3-1 just about a month ago?
It's tough to compare because I feel like both times they were in pretty good spots. Obviously, this month wasn't like the best thing ever. Like, South Carolina went 1-2, and they had a tough schedule. They really should have been 2-1 this month, and they lost a close one to Bama. I mean, comparatively, that first month they went 3-1. They were on fire. They should have been 4-0. So they've had those losses where it's like, yeah, they should have won those games. At the same time, look, we kind of knew October was going to be that month where if you win one game, you're in a good spot. I think South Carolina is in a great spot. You have the hard part of your schedule out of the way. November is going to be tough with, I know it's advertised as 4 ranked teams in 5 games, but truthfully, I don't think those teams are as good as South Carolina. Like, Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt, and they probably could win that game this year. Same time, South Carolina should be able to win that game just on the backs of their defense. And then Missouri, Wofford, you should win those games. A&M might be a toss-up, Clemson, toss-up. So I think the brunt of the schedule's out of the way. Now it's kind of up to South Carolina to identify their issues that they have over these next 1.5 weeks, and then kind of correct it as best you can with A&M coming into town.
Well, that's the good thing about having the defense that Carolina has, is they're going to give you at least an opportunity in every single one of those games. Now, if the offense can pull up there into the bargain and you can potentially win those games, that's a little bit different conversation. Like A&M, 2 weeks from now. We'll see what they look like against LSU. Huge game out in College Station for the right to take sole ownership of the top of the SEC, which is really funny to say, and we'll get to some more broader SEC thoughts in a moment. But, if they play a physical, 4-quarter emotional game with LSU, you might catch them, a little bit sleepy coming in next weekend, which I know that's going to be a night game, so it's a little bit different than playing a noon or something like that. But you could potentially benefit greatly from having the bye while they're still playing a game, though at the same time, you got Ole Miss off of a loss to Kentucky a couple weeks ago, and they came in here and ran over South Carolina to the tune of, that 24-point victory. So that isn't always necessarily going to be the case. But I think when you kind of look at where Carolina is as of right now at 4-3, if you go back and look at the schedule prior to the season, this is probably what most people would have hoped for. Okay, you lost LSU, you lost Alabama, as many people probably expected you would, and you beat Oklahoma on the road. Like, hey, that's great. But obviously the context of how those games went down, you obviously feel differently now, but still all the goals that we thought Carolina could accomplish prior to the season are in front of them. I think they're going to end up probably about 7-5-ish. I think they'll obviously beat Wofford. That'll be the 5th win. I think, like you said, they can beat Missouri and Vanderbilt, though anything can happen each and every week in the SEC. And, we'll see what happens with A&M and Clemson. I'm not giving the highest favorite of those games, but as we've seen throughout college football, things can change week to week. And if Carolina won those games, I'm not going to sit here and say I'd be overly shocked by it.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, again, the rest of the schedule, who knows what's going to happen? They can go 9-3. And honestly, like, I thought about it a little bit more, and I probably even shouldn't think about this because I'm putting the bad or the crazy thoughts in the Gamecock fans' heads. College football playoff is like not totally impossible. There's a very, very minuscule chance, but a lot of things have to go right. And the fact that you get 4 ranked teams over the next 4 weeks, and if that kind of holds the rest of the year, it's kind of like, oh, shoot, look at all these great wins South Carolina has on their resume. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like they could also go 5-7. Like, they can lose a lot of these kind of like toss-up games, and that's the thing about South Carolina.
Chris and I got posed that question on the Firehouse Ups text line Thursday or Friday of last week, and we entertained it. Like, I don't think Carolina would still make the playoff even if they went 9-3, because at some point, like you look at it, and again, we're in a new era now where we don't exactly know the definition of what a playoff team is, and 9-3 theoretically in the SEC could get you in there, but at some you have to beat the good teams. You know what I mean? I know Carolina, it was close against LSU. Officiating went one way. The loss against Alabama was a tight one, and you nearly had the miracle win there. But at some point, you do have to win those games. And I don't think South Carolina, so Oklahoma, that's obviously a big deal. Kentucky isn't as good as we thought they were, prior to the season. Like, South Carolina just doesn't have that like signature win as of yet. Now, beating a ranked A&M, beating a potentially top 10 Clemson team, that could go a long way, certainly. But I don't even know if running the table at this point would be enough. And that's kind of the farthest thing I think from anybody's minds when it comes to this team. They're just trying to at least get that 6-win mark and try to get back to a bowl game.
No, and that shouldn't be their thought process. Like, okay, making the playoff is like, it's probably not going to happen. But it's also like, I think it's just a possibility, just because if you go on the road to Clemson, let's say Clemson is with top 9 at that point, like they're in the single digits, and you beat them on the road pretty handedly. It's kind of like, okay, that's your signature win right there. And A&M's legit, I think. I think A&M's going to end up probably with like 2 to 3 losses this season, which I do think South Carolina will beat them. And we'll see what happens with LSU, though. They get them at home. But I do think Carolina, like, more realistically, you're probably looking at 6-6, 7-5. Though I do think 8-4. I think they can go 4-1 this month. It just, something tells me that, like, this is going to be the year they kind of finish it out strong again. That's always been a signature of Shane Beamer teams throughout these first 3 years.
We are only about 2 weeks away from the first college football playoff rankings for the new 12-team era. As we kind of start to figure out what this 12-team field is going to look like, the SEC has been completely busted wide open as there's been no dominant team. We're going to lay the land and kind of assess who we think might be able to make it in and who might be going to Atlanta playing the conference championship game here in a little over a month's time coming up as the Extra Point rolls along. He is Jack Felcher from Gamecock Central. I'm Tyler Head on your Tuesday on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Hey, I want to tell you about our new show sponsor, Pete Alewine Pool and Spa. They're an award-winning swimming pool builder that's been in the business for 25 years with more than 40 years of pool construction experience. They service the entire Midlands area, whether you're looking for weekly cleaning maintenance or a chlorine to salt conversion, with services like safety cover installs and safety fence installs. You can check out all their offerings at the showroom in Lexington, South Carolina, and talk to their experts about any and everything you might need. Their retail store is located at 5541 Sunset Boulevard in Lexington. Again, that's 5541 Sunset Boulevard. And you can also check them out online at PeteAlewinepools.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
When you're hiring, ZipRecruiter's technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. What if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You already know that Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union offers truly free checking and great rates on auto loans, but did you know they do mortgages too? Whether you need a first or second mortgage, a home equity line of credit, or a loan for construction, renovation, a lot, or a manufactured home, Palmetto Citizens has you covered. They're a community financial institution based solely here in the Midlands, so they offer a refreshingly simple mortgage process you won't get from the big banks or online lenders. Along with a great rate, the Palmetto Citizens Mortgage Team will work with you to tailor the loan to best fit your needs and budget. Apply for your mortgage today by visiting palmettocitizens.org or stopping by any of their 14 branches across the Midlands. Palmetto Citizens, proudly serving this community since 1936. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS ID number 449962. Approval based on credit worthiness. Certain restrictions may apply.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy, where back to cool means award-winning savings. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Get a great deal on versatile Kubota equipment today. Like the Kubota L-Series compact tractor, the #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S., Z-Series mowers, and Sidekick utility vehicles. Stop by your local Kubota dealer today. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $300. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Stop by Pioneer Farm Equipment in Orangeburg, 1 mile off of I-26 exit 154B, or at PioneerFarmSC.com.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence. The Extra Point with your hosts, Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central.
Sponsored by Beat Ale Wine, Pool and Spa.
On the Game Network. And don't forget to download the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you on your Tuesday here on The Game. Of course, it is bye week, so no Coach Beamer press conference coming up today at 1 o'clock and no coordinators coming up tomorrow as everybody takes a few days to relax and get reset as we get set for the final 5 games of the regular season. Still have Carolina Calls coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock here on The Game in Columbia and Myrtle Beach. Don't know exactly who's going to be on Carolina Calls yet, but somebody will be. So we'll get some information on that out whenever we do find out about it. But as we're sitting at this point in the season, again, only about 2 weeks away from the first college football playoff rankings being released, I think it's a good time to kind of assess where things stand with the SEC as a whole. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, technically speaking, if the SEC championship game were being played this weekend, it would be between LSU and Texas A&M because they're the 2 teams in the conference that have not lost any games as of yet. In conference play, at least. A&M lost to, of course, Notre Dame in week number 1. LSU lost to Southern Cal in week number 1, but they've been undefeated since then. So this upcoming weekend will be the opportunity to fight for the top spot in the SEC. And you know, coming into this year, Jack, with this expanded conference with 16 teams, no more divisions, there was a lot of opportunity for some controversy when it came to the ranking or the standings at the end of the year with a bunch of teams having the exact same record. So as we stand as of right now, And again, there'll be a lot of crossover and teams playing each other. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams with 1 loss or fewer currently now in the SEC with only about 5 more weeks to go in the regular season. So I imagine there is a good chance we could have some of these other criteria come into play when it comes to tiebreakers on who's going to Atlanta and who gets left out.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be definitely some changes over these next few weeks. Like, the way it is right now is obviously it's going to change starting this weekend. A&M and LSU play each other, so one of those teams is going to lose. And then Missouri and Alabama essentially play for a chance to stay alive, I guess, in the big picture of things, though I think Alabama's pretty much done at this point. And Missouri's not far behind. So there's a lot of opportunities over these next few weeks where these teams will play each other, and we'll kind of have a better idea of what the two teams at the top look like. But right now, it's kind of strange seeing. I mean, LSU's a little surprising because I didn't think they were that good coming into the season, but they've shocked me a little bit. And it's the same deal with A&M after losing that game to Notre Dame. They've really played good football here lately, and that was without Connor Wegman for a little bit. So, and they got Marcel Reed, who's a solid backup. So it's not surprising to see how tight things are in this SEC race this year, and it's so different from other years where you don't have divisions now. It's kind of just a free-for-all, and that's what makes it more entertaining.
Well, and college football as a whole this year is obviously taking on the theme of unpredictability, and the SEC is no different there. And, with Texas falling to Georgia, especially in the way that they did, I think we're all saying, okay, there is truly no dominant team in the SEC. Now, if Georgia plays defense like they did against Texas this past weekend, that's going to be a very, very hard team to beat. And as of right now, I think a lot of people would pencil Georgia in to be in Atlanta as of right now. Who that second team is going to be interesting because I think the default is LSU Texas as of right now. But really, I think LSU has a good opportunity to run the table. And yes, they still have A&M. They got Alabama, and Vanderbilt is now a ranked team. So that's not going to be easy for them necessarily. But I like the way that this team is playing. Obviously, they barely escaped with a victory here at South Carolina, but they've got a lot of good pieces, on offense and on defense, and a very good coach in Brian Kelly that they could once again find themselves in Atlanta to the surprise of a lot of people.
If they stay healthy, they are probably the team to beat in the SEC this season. I think they're going to beat Alabama in Baton Rouge, probably under the lights in a few weeks. Obviously, A&M this weekend is going to be their probably toughest game because I'm pretty sure that game's at Kyle Field, so that'll be a challenge. But I do feel like LSU is well equipped. I mean, look, they have probably, in my opinion, the quarterback that does not get talked about enough. Garrett Nussmeier is fun to watch. He is going to be, you talk about guys that are going to be, this NFL quarterback draft class for next year, isn't that great and all? Garrett Nussmeier, I think, has the chance to be the best quarterback of the bunch next year just because he really is a great passer, and that's what you need in the NFL. But anyway, that's not the point of this conversation. The point is they have weapons. It's Garrett Nussmeier, Kyron Lacy. Their run game is kind of better now. Their offensive line is obviously really solid. So they have the makings on offense. It's just going to come down to, okay, can their defense hold up? That's always kind of the question mark with teams like this, and LSU's no exception. But I really do think the schedule lends itself well to them running the table here. And we're not just talking about the SEC title game. I mean, look, if they have 2 losses at the end of the year and they lose in the SEC championship game, and that's their second loss of the year, I'd have a hard time leaving them out of the playoff just because of probably the rank wins they'll have on their schedule.
I think both teams that make Atlanta are getting in no matter what. I don't think, because whoever makes Atlanta probably has only 1 or 2 losses in the SEC in the regular season, and I don't think you should penalize a team for making it to the championship game because one of them is going to have to lose. So one team would be taking theoretically their second or possibly third loss. So I think whoever gets in, because again, it's going to be seeded based on your win percentage in the conference, you get in, and then the debate becomes, okay, how many more teams get in after that? I know the projections anywhere from 3 to 5 has kind of been the number people have been looking at, and yes, it also depends on what's happening in the other conferences with at-larges and stuff like that. But you brought up a moment ago that is something I agree with. I think LSU is going to beat Alabama here in a couple weeks. That game is in Baton Rouge, and we've seen Alabama does not look like Alabama through most of the season so far. So let's say they lose that game, and let's say they win all the others. They end up 9-3 with losses to LSU, Tennessee, and then Vanderbilt. Is that enough to get in? Which, again, we're speculating because this is a new era of college football, and we don't know exactly what the criteria to be in as an at-large team is. But, man, that is going to be quite a debate on if a 9-3 Alabama would be able to get in or get left out.
That's the thing, man. It depends on how these other teams finish out the year, because that's the one thing we always have to keep in mind is that, okay, just because you beat like a ranked team at this point in the season doesn't mean it's going to hold much value by the end of the season. Because let's say, South Carolina, I'm sorry, Alabama, that loss to Vanderbilt. Let's say Vanderbilt just slides the rest of the year. They finish the year 5-7 or whatever. Then you're kind of looking at like, oh gosh, that's a terrible loss for Alabama. Whereas if Vanderbilt kind of somehow runs the table here and they finish 9-3 or whatever, it's kind of like, oh, okay, Vanderbilt was pretty good this year. So Alabama, you kind of get a little bit of a pass there. To an extent.
Right.
Not fully, though, because it's still Vanderbilt, and just mind-boggling that loss happened. But I don't know. I think if Saban were still the coach, I think Alabama would probably get a little bit more benefit of the doubt. But they haven't played well. That's the thing, man. It's 3 straight games now where you have the best win of the season, but you also have some of the worst losses of the year. You did not look good against Tennessee, not really at all, even though that was a close loss. You didn't look good against South Carolina, even though you squeaked that game out, and you didn't look good enough against Vanderbilt. So if this trend continues, I don't know. They're going to need to really pull off some big wins here. I think you got to go to Baton Rouge and win that game. You got to beat Missouri. And if you lose another game after that, I mean, it is what it is. It's just you got to be able to win some of these big games here you got coming up.
And we knew it was going to obviously be a difference when you went from Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all time, to Kalen DeBoer. But I think most people kind of assumed, well, Alabama's still going to be good enough to make a 12-team playoff. But look, people in Tuscaloosa are already not pleased with Kalen DeBoer to a high degree by losing to, but you've lost to both of the Tennessee teams right now, and one of those teams is Vanderbilt, which is unacceptable for anybody in the SEC, but still your goals are ahead of you. If you win out, you can still make the 12-team playoff, but if they miss that, and look, he's not going to get fired after 1 year. Like, that's not going to happen. But, man, you want to talk about a fan base being sour on a coach that quickly? It is not going to be pretty out there in Tuscaloosa.
No. And, I mean, I was listening to the legend from Alabama this morning on the Feinbaum show. He was livid. And I think rightfully so. Like, look, Alabama fans have been so used to winning and stuff and all this different stuff. But I think right now it's like, I don't know. I don't think you accept mediocrity if you're Alabama. Like, they should be better. And the way they're just the whole style of Bama football right now is just so different from what we're used to. And I don't know, man. It's going to be tough to make the playoff with 3 losses if you're them. But I think if you do win these next 2 games, you should be able to win the next 3. And I think if you have 2 losses, you probably will get in.
Well, we're creeping closer to the end of the college football regular season. NFL is only about halfway through their regular season. Still a lot of football to be played at the NFL level. As it is Tuesday, we'll hit our NFL top 5, bottom 5. Coming up next, he is Jack Belcher from Gamecock Central. I am Tyler Head on your Tuesday here on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-568-2790. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-568-2790. 800-568-2790 or biglou.com.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
The Gamecock men's basketball season is almost here. Season tickets start as low as $90. For more information and to secure your season tickets today, visit thegamecockclub.com/MBB. We can't wait to see you at Colonial Life Arena this season.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler-Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Hey, this is Brian Glenn, owner of Village Idiot Pizza. You know your favorite Columbia pizza shop is franchising? We're excited to welcome franchise operators to our team as we grow throughout the Southeast. Ever thought you'd like to see a Village Idiot in your community? I'm talking to you, Lexington, Irmo, Chapin, Blythewood. Village Idiot Pizza has been bringing people together for community and pizza in Columbia for over 30 years. If you know someone who's ready to join a proven system and be their own boss, join our village. For more info, visit villageidiotpizza.com.
My therapist had told me that I needed to go to AA meetings. I didn't want to go to AA, but I did, and it wasn't what I expected. It was friendly. I could feel the happiness.
Visit aacolumbia.org for more information and to find an AA meeting near you.
Fall is just around the corner. That means phenomenal weather and getting out to your favorite golf course here in the Midlands. Charwood Golf Club, where Rock and Daniel Lucas have an incredible layout and create a fun, relaxed environment each time you head out to the course. So give them a phone call today and line up that tee time, 803-755-2000. Again, that's 803-755-2000. Go find out about one of the Midlands' hidden golf gyms. That's Charwood Golf Club. Get out there today and schedule an appointment, 803-755-2000.
This year, Roy and Dana Finley are shaking things up at AAA Heating and Air. For the next 12 months, they're telling their customers no. Get a new system purchase with no payments and no interest for an entire year. You heard that right. Purchase a new system now and make no payments for a full 12 months. So do what I did. Call AAA Heating and Air for your free estimate and tell them Jay Phillips sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Who did the heavy lifting?
Sponsored by TEC Equipment Rental
at 2025 Old Dunbar Road in Casey.
Welcome back into the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you here on your Tuesday on the Game. Get to our NFL Top 5, Bottom 5 in just a moment. But first, it is our Who Did the Heavy Lifting segment brought to you by our friends over at TEC Equipment Rentals. And, Jack, I can't think of a better winner for this segment than Saquon Barkley. Sunday for the Eagles, 17 carries, 176 yards, and 1 touchdown against his former team en route to the Eagles' 28-3 victory. I think he was taking out some frustrations against the Giants. What do you think?
He totally did. And look, the whole Saquon situation, I mean, look, we saw some of it on Hard Knocks, the offseason edition with the Giants, funnily enough. I think the Giants made a mistake letting him go, but at the same time, they let him go explore his options, and I totally get that. But, I mean, look, when you think Saquon Barkley, you kind of think New York Giants. And, look, the Giants are a mess, and that was even the case when he was there. But I just feel like it's still kind of like weird seeing him in an Eagles uniform compared to the Giants because he is a Giant, and that's the thing. So
well, and then going to a divisional rival of all things, that makes it even worse from a Giants fan's perspective. Is I imagine a lot of Giants fans like, you know what, we were probably wasting his talent here anyway because Daniel Jones is clearly not the answer. Brian Dable's probably going to get fired. It's a whole mess.
It's just crazy to me how, I think it was 2 years ago, this is a team that won a playoff game on the road in Minnesota, and then just all the wheels have fallen off since then. All the momentum. Year one of Brian Dable was fantastic for the Giants, and they kind of just they stink now. They're awful, and I just don't know what it is. It's obviously the quarterback and coaching, and it's much more than that, but the Giants are a mess, and I don't blame Saquon necessarily for leaving because, why would you want to stay around that dumpster fire?
No, exactly. We'll see if they end up in either one of our bottom fives coming up here in a few minutes. Got to start off with the top five, though, and there's only one unbeaten team left in the NFL. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are my number one, final unbeaten. Mahomes legitimately had his worst game of the season on Sunday, and they still found a way to win. The defense picked out Brock Purdy 3 times, all those in Kansas City territory. They're playing off the strength of this defense. The offense, it's not terrible, but it's not great, but they're still finding ways to win with this defense.
Yeah, and the Chiefs are my number one here, too. Look, undefeated is undefeated. I think the Chiefs I don't know what it is. I had their defense on fantasy, so I'm grateful for that, but it's like, how do they keep winning with Patrick Mahomes playing the way he is? And I think eventually he's going to come out of it and play much better. But this isn't like a great performance for him. 16 of 27 passing, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 154 yards. Look, the run game, if anything, is doing a lot of the legwork here. And that's where Pat's kind of been thriving lately because he's been running the ball pretty well. And you see Kareem Hunt kind of look like the Kareem Hunt of old with 2 touchdowns on Sunday. And look, they don't have a true number one in that receiver room either, but they're getting it done. I don't know what it is, but they're getting it done. And I think that's the crazy part about this is that they're still 6-0.
Well, going into the weekend, we had 2 undefeated teams in the league. Minnesota was the other one. The Detroit Lions take them down over the weekend in US Bank Stadium, and that moves Detroit up to number 2 in my top 5. Again, beating an undefeated team. Do you realize how good Jared Goff has been over the past 4 games? This 4-game winning streak that the Lions are on. He is completing 83% of his passes over that period of time, 9 touchdowns and 1 interception. He is playing phenomenal football right now, maybe second only to Lamar Jackson, who I'll get to in a moment, in terms of elite quarterback play in the league right now.
Yeah, the Lions are my number 2 as well. And look, they're a phenomenal team. I think they are going to be the team to beat in the NFC this year. I just don't see how this team doesn't get to the Super Bowl. And yes, I know they just lost Aiden Hutchinson. But the good thing is this team is very talented, and I think they can get by even with a loss of that type of caliber. And look, Jared Goff, like you said, playing out of his mind. That trade, I think that's one of the few times where you can truthfully say the trade has worked out on both sides because Matthew Stafford led the Rams to a Super Bowl, making it an automatic win there regardless how the rest of the tenure goes. And then Jared Goff with the Lions. It has worked out extremely well so far, and he just fits that Dan Campbell, Detroit, gritty type of vibe, and I like it. But the rest of this team is legitimately very good. Scary to say the least. Jahmyr Gibbs is on fire right now. Amon-Ra St. Brown, fantastic. They are dangerous, and it just goes to show that, look, they were down big against the Vikings early in this game, and then they came back and took the lead. Then the Vikings kind of came back again. But the Lions were able to hold off the Vikings comeback in the end and hang on for a win. So credit is due.
Speaking of the Vikings, they come in at number 3 again. They were undefeated going into the weekend. And, I go back to the game a couple weeks ago in London against the Jets where they didn't have their best game. Sam Darnold didn't have his best game, and they still found a way to win. And I thought maybe they're starting to slip a little bit. But Sam Darnold kind of got back on track, had another solid game on Sunday. And, yeah, there's no shame in losing to the Lions. I still think this is a very good Minnesota team, very good on the defensive side of the ball, second in the league in takeaways per game so far. Like, this is still a really good team. And when you look at their schedule over these next couple weeks, let me run this one by you here. They're going to play at the Rams on Thursday Night Football. They got the Colts, the Jaguars, the Titans, and then the Bears over the next handful of weeks. If that's not the most manageable schedule over the next month, I don't know what is.
They definitely should manage that schedule. And look, this Vikings team is still very much legit. They are in my top 5, but they're not at number 3 for me. For me at number 3, I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm just very, very impressed with this team right now. And I think they are – I don't fully buy – and I know it's bad of me to say. I don't fully buy into the Chiefs yet. I'm just not sold on, like, okay, their path to the Super Bowl is right there for them. Yes, they're a good team. Yes, they're finding ways to get the job done. And I know they beat the Ravens, but I do feel like the Ravens right now, like, they got it going. Lamar Jackson is literally playing out of his mind. Derrick Henry is just turning back the clock and looking invincible out there. And that is a big credit to how just he manages his body and stuff, and just how physical he is. It's really fun to watch him be Derrick Henry again. And then obviously in the receiving game, they're really spreading the ball around and looking good out there. And the defense has looked really solid. The offensive line, I think, was probably their biggest issue. But overall, I'm really impressed with the Ravens. Yes, this was a 10-point win over the Bucs last night. But, for context purposes, it was 34-10 going into the fourth quarter, with the Ravens really dominating. So the Ravens are number 3 for me.
Yeah, Ravens are number 4 for me. I think you hit all the high points there. Lamar Jackson looked like an MVP once again. 5 touchdowns last night. Of course, Derrick Henry, a monster as usual. He averaged 11.3 yards per carry last night. There is truly no stopping this man. And that 1-2 punch of those guys, which you have to account for both of them in the run game, is a scary thing for any NFL defense. And they've, despite getting out of the gate a little bit, stumbling out of the gate a little bit in those first couple weeks, they've been red hot since then and truly look like one of the, if not the best teams in all of the NFL. So they're number 4 for me. Who have you got it for?
Number 4 for me is my Buffalo Bills. And I will say, I was going to put the Vikings here. The Vikings will be at 5 for me. I'll talk about that in a minute. But the Bills, they have been very, very impressive lately. And, they had the close win over the Jets last week on Monday Night Football. And then in this game, they kind of came out flat. They're down 10-7 at the half, and then the rest of the way, they outscored the Titans 27-0 and just absolutely dominated. Josh Allen continues to be phenomenal this year. He has yet to throw an interception so far this season. Ray Davis, James Cook, a great dynamic out there. Amari Cooper was great in this game. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman had 125 yards receiving in this game. I think that is a fantastic trio of receivers right there to kind of help out with Josh Allen's, issues with not having a true number 1 like he had in the past. And then the defense makes some big plays when they need to. So I'm very impressed with this Bills team. They're kind of starting to run away a little bit with the AFC East, and I don't think they're going to be losing that race anytime soon.
Last one for me in the top 5, going to go with the Washington Commanders. Of course, last week played that great game against Baltimore, and they jumped up to my top 5 with that, nail-biting performance there against the Ravens. This past weekend, they played the Panthers, and they beat the Panthers exactly how you should, 40-7. Pretty easy game for them. Got me a lot of points on fantasy by having their defense. Only allowed 180 total yards in that game. Jaden Daniels, obviously a phenomenal player, had the rib injury, which is a concern. Marcus Mariota did come in and played a good game to close out against the Panthers, but he's not going to beat good teams for you. So the health of Jaden Daniels is paramount for this Commanders team and how they do going forward. But for now, they're my 5th team.
Yeah, the Commanders are legit, and I did have them in the top 5 originally, but I decided to leave the Vikings in the top 5 and put them at number 5. Look, they had a close loss against Detroit. It was a back-and-forth kind of game. I thought they played pretty well for the most part. Sam Darnold looked fine in this game. He had the interception. He took 4 sacks, but overall, he looked fine. Aaron Jones continues to look good. Justin Jefferson. The defense is, obviously you don't want to give up 31 points, but they also did score a touchdown this game on defense. So I think the Vikings are going to be fine. And like you said, pointing out the schedule earlier, if they don't kind of run the table here, what are we talking about here? I think the Vikings are still a very good team, and it's just one of those weeks where you played another team that was, due for a win.
We'll hit our bottom 5 to close out today's edition of The Extra Point. That is coming up next. Reminder, the brand new craft beer card has arrived, now only $59. Saves you about $300 on craft beers here locally in Columbia. Go online to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals to purchase the new craft beer card. It is The Extra Point. He's Jack Felch from Gamecock Central. I'm Tyler Head on your Tuesday on The Game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Hate paying for streaming? One more thing you got to stream and pay for? Well, the Game app. is, wait for it, free.
It's free! It's free! It's free!
Yes, all you got to do is go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app and listen for nothing in all respects of the word. Nothing.
This is Boomer Esiason with Sports Minute. So how hot is the Lions offense these days? In the last 4 games, Detroit has more touchdowns, that would be 18, than incompletions, that would be 16. That hasn't been done within a single regular season since at least 1940. Jared Goff's 83.5% completion percentage is the highest in NFL history over 4 games. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text BODY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text BODY to 42424. That's BODY to 42424.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
What's better than 1 win? 3 wins. With Straight Savings, you keep your own phone, get 1 line for only $25 a month with real unlimited data, and get rewarded with a $200 phone credit after 12 months. It's a win-win-win. Head to Walmart or visit straighttalk.com today. Switch to Straight Talk. Less dollars, more sense. Straight Savings Plan enrollment requires compatible unlocked device and new line of service. Bonus device credit requires 12 months of active service. Offer ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. Taxes and fees apply. For network management practices, see Straight Talk's terms and conditions.
Paul's new drone startup just lost its most genius computer scientist.
We just lost our best genius to some new genius who's got a genius new idea. I'm going to have to find a new genius, or 2 half geniuses, and fast.
He needs a computer scientist that can keep his startup from falling down.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace! You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching.
Does this have peanuts?
To waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Extra Point with your hosts, Tyler Head and Jack Veltri from Gamecock Central.
Sponsored by Pete Alewine, Pool and Spa.
On the Game Network. And don't forget to download the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you here on your Tuesday on the Game. Coming up at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, it's the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Oscar Attaway from Gamecock Football going to be sitting down with Chris for a couple minutes, get his thoughts on the first half of the Gamecock season and how things are going as we head into the bye week. But it is time for our NFL Bottom 5, always the funner portion of this show, about the teams that are not looking good as we get about halfway through the NFL season. I'll start off my number 28. As we run through these pretty quickly, I think most people locally have finally gotten a chance to really watch this team. Now the Rattlers starting for them. New Orleans Saints are abysmal in a lot of ways. And I don't put that on Rattler because he does not have an offensive line. His receivers have been hurt. Their defense isn't really that good. Their coach is very poor. They just don't have anything going for them after starting off the season so well in those first 2 weeks where they dominated their opponents, and they've just fallen off since then.
I'm going to go with the New York Giants at number 28. They just, I mean, look, I thought there was a glimmer of hope. Like, maybe the Giants aren't so bad. Maybe Daniel Jones isn't so bad. They played so well against the Seahawks a few weeks ago. Man, they've fallen off a cliff. The Eagles just annihilated them, and they're number 28 for me. Someone's getting fired here pretty soon.
Speaking of getting fired very soon, go to number 29 for me, Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe Doug Peterson is ultimately a dead man walking. There's no saving his job this year. They beat the Pats in London. Congratulations. That's not worth anything. Their next games are against Green Bay, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Detroit, and Houston. They're not going to win likely any of those games, and Doug Peterson will be lucky to see the end of the season.
I totally agree. Look, I wanted to put the Jags in the bottom 5, but I'm like, there's so many other worse teams right now. And so for me, I'm going with the Tennessee Titans at number 29. Now, granted, they were up at the half against the Bills, but man, they are awful. They are awful. Mason Rudolph, Will Levis, whoever you want to put back there, this team is awful, and there's just no way around it. You get outscored 27-0 in the second half. I know it's first year of a new head coach, but the Titans are abysmal.
Speaking of new head coaches, New England with Gerard Mayo, look, they're in experiment phase. It's a rebuilding process. I'm not trying to be too critical on them. Drake May actually looked pretty solid against the Jaguars on Sunday, but this team is going to be a lot of work over a period of time to get back to any kind of competitive level. So for now, they're number 30 for me.
For number 30 for me, go with the Cleveland Browns. Look, the loss against the Bengals, it's not ideal. You were down, 21-6 at the going into the fourth quarter. Not ideal. Deshaun Watson, done for the year. Give me Jameis Winston. Let me see more of this guy, the leader he is, the great quarterback we know he all can be. Let's see him get his chance and actually make the Cleveland Browns worth watching for the rest of the season, because they are a mess right now.
Yeah, Cleveland's my number 31. Look, Deshaun Watson was already a disaster, but now he's sucking money from this organization, and he's not playing anymore this season. Will the team get better because of that? I don't know. Again, your options, like you said, Jameis Winston and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who came in after Watson got hurt on Sunday. Look, it's going to be another lost year. It's just such a Browns thing, right? Like, I know they had a couple good years there when they made the playoffs and stuff like that, but this organization just seems to like it's always going to be cursed, and the gray cloud that Deshaun Watson's brought over them doesn't look like it's leaving anytime soon.
No, that was a mess when he got carted off the field, people cheering and stuff. It's not what you want to see, but at the same time, he's not a good guy, so it is what it is. Number 31 for me, New England Patriots. They are just not a good team, and I will say, despite losing to the Jags, I am very high on Drake May. I do think he's looking really good right now. Just give it time, get him some more weapons, and get him a defense, because that's ultimately what they need right now. And, the Patriots, look, they're not good, but maybe someday they'll be better.
Last one for me, number 32, probably going to be your 32 as well, Carolina Panthers. They made the change to put Andy Dalton in there, Bryce Young, and we knew that was going to be a temporary spark. They won the game against Las Vegas a couple weeks back, and hey, that's all fine and good. But since then, Andy Dalton has had 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and is completing under 70% of his throws. I don't know if it's worth giving Bryce Young another shot. I don't know if they just completely moved on from him or what. But, again, this is an organization that just can't seem to really get out of its own way, and are maybe drafting another quarterback very high, maybe with the first pick again when the spring rolls around.
Yeah, the Panthers are my worst team right now as well at number 32. Look, the fact that they're even throwing Bryce Young in these garbage time situations is just pathetic, considering this is your number 1 overall pick from last year. This team is abysmal in every sense of the word. It starts at the top with an awful owner like David Tepper. And look, he's probably going to end up firing Dave Canales by the year's end. I think Canales is a good coach. It's just he's got nothing to work with, and this team is horrible in every sense of the word. I don't know what you do from here. I think you go back to Bryce at some point, at least see if you have anything left in the tank, because there were flashes last year before the season ended of, okay, this guy can actually be pretty good. But if not, you got to find another quarterback for next year.
Yeah, this was it was 11 games when they fired Frank Wright a year ago. So we'll maybe take a look tomorrow at which coaches are likely on their way out by the end of the NFL season as we hit the extra point coming up on Wednesday. Again, coming up next, it is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating as Chris Clark sits down with Oscar Attaway as he talks about his first half of the season with Gamecocks football. That'll do it for the extra point. Coming up next, Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Heating and Cooling on your Tuesday on the Game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Tyler Head here, excited to tell you about our new partners over at Underdog Fantasy. With over 5 million happy players across 33 states and $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances with their pick'em game. You could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats, things like touchdowns in football, home runs in baseball, and points in basketball games as well. With Underdog's Double Flex, you can even take a few L's and still end up with a winning entry. Underdog also has their Underdog Rescues, where you can get your money back, and a promo if an early injury prevents your pick from winning. Today, on Underdog, I've got Jalen Brunson higher than half a point in the Knicks opener tonight, taking on the Celtics. Yeah, it's that easy, just half a point. You can download the app, sign up with promo code THEGAME1075, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code THEGAME1075. Must be 18 or older, present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Here today with my two sons.
Hey, I'm Blake Romanstein. Midlands Landscape and Lawns is a family-owned business rooted right here in the Midlands for over 30 years.
And I'm Braden Romanstein. We're not just local, we're your neighbors, and we're going to take care of you like you live next door.
From residential landscaping to hardscape design and installation to maintenance and everything in between. Call or visit Midlands Landscape and Lawns today at midlandslandscape.com.
NIL is more important than ever to success in college athletics. Our friends at Garnet Trust are trying to build the best NIL program in the country for South Carolina student athletes. Head on over to garnettrust.com where you can support Gamecock athletes, get access to exclusive content, and help build the best NIL program in the country.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a Scratch Kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom. Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
When you're hiring, ZipRecruiter's technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. What if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips for the Men's Clinic. Not feeling like yourself as you get a little older? You're wondering why? Don't wait for it to change or go away. Instead, see Dr. Dan Bognight and his team at the Men's Clinic. You'll have a one-on-one consultation that will get to the root of the issue and get you back to feeling like you used to. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the Men's Clinic. Get a free consultation. Schedule one at 803-875-MENS and learn more online at themensclinicsc.com.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station.
The Gamecock Club Hour with Gamecock Central.
Presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Keep cool with Krantz, your cooling and heating specialists. Visit KrantzCooling.com today.
On the Game Network.
All right, welcome in. It's the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. I'm Chris Clark. I'm going to be driving this thing for you today, and special guest today. We're back with the Gamecock football team. I really appreciate the Gamecock Club helping us get all these student athletes on each week here on the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Today we got Oscar Attaway from Gamecock football. Oscar, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad you're with us, man. We're talking here on Tuesday, and you guys are a few days removed from a huge road win in Norman, Oklahoma. A little bit out closer to where you're from, right? You're out from Arkansas. So let's start there, man. I mean, did you have like any extra family in or anything like that out in the Midwest area, or was that a little bit of a homecoming for you, or no?
Yeah, it was a big homecoming for me. I even had a couple fans and family from Texas that came from North Texas. Yeah, they came to the game, and I had a lot of family from Arkansas come, a lot of family from Memphis that even came. So yeah, it was a good homecoming for me.
Yeah, good deal, man. Well, so we got a lot of ground to cover. I mean, we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. We'll talk about on field, off field, as usual here. But we got to talk about the game. And even though you play running back, even though you play offense, sorry, man, we got to start with the defense with your guys over there.
The beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they set the tone early, and trust me, we got plenty to talk about with the offense too, and we'll get there. But from play one, literally, the defense set the tone. Let's go back like the week of prep, right? You guys had come off, y'all had some heartbreakers this season, right? And the last game was also on the road, SEC battle, 2-point loss to Bama. What was the week of practice like, just emotionally, mentally, and physically?
I think Mazio Bennett said it best in his interview after the game against Bama. Like, we're just done and tired as a team just of losing and feeling like the way that we feel. So like going into that week, everybody mentality was different. Like everybody was just like, bro, like whatever goes down Saturday, we are leaving Norman, Oklahoma with a W. And that's how practice went. And that's how practice went. Like there was no laughs, no giggles, no ha-has. It was all strict business. And like that's what we came out to do. We came out to hunt, and that's what we did.
That's interesting because, I mean, one thing that we've all talked about, right, and I know this is year one for you here, but you might have seen this, like Coach Beamer, since he's been here, one of the things that I think everybody would have to agree on is win or loss, like he's kept the team engaged. There have been some times where the team's maybe been buried in the court of public opinion, and the next week they'll come out and put on a really strong performance, right? So, I mean, you guys have been there already this season with people, like the Ole Miss game, right? A lot of people saying, all right, go to Bama, get beat by 3 or 4 touchdowns, whatever. But that clearly wasn't the case, right? But you think even from like Bama prep week to this week was still different? Still different.
Yeah. And huge applause to Coach Beamer and like how he keeps the team intact. Like every team meeting he comes in and like he's the same person, same guy every time. Beautiful coach, man. Great coach.
So here's a question that I think is probably fair to ask. Do y'all carry forward, like, is that the new mentality? Like, do y'all just carry that forward each week? Because clearly y'all found something there, right, with how you prepared.
Yeah, for sure. Every week we want to prepare the way that we prepared this week, and that's Coach said that in one of the meetings. Like, why not have the same preparation for this upcoming week? Well, we know we got the bye, but even during the bye week, have the same preparation, same mindset, just like we're going into Texas A&M with.
Yeah, so I will. We'll get back to the game and the defense, but since you gave me that opening, what's the bye week like? I know Coach Beamer said y'all changed it up a little bit and got the day off on Sunday. What's the rest of this week look like for you guys?
We working every day. Working. We work.
Okay. So not much different. So I know that you guys carried that mentality into Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I know you see in practice every day, and then you've seen in games what your colleagues on defense can do, but like 3 turnovers on the first 3 possessions. I mean, what are you thinking there on the sidelines?
I mean, that's like Nick and Warren said it in the beginning of the season at an interview I seen, and he was just saying, like, this is a special defense. And I said it when I committed. I was like, have y'all seen the defense? Like, oh my goodness. Like, and like, I knew I was going to get a chance to go against them. And like, but like, I'll be feeling bad for people that have to go against them. Cause I got a couple teammates that's on OU's team, the right guard, Fabechi. He played at North Texas with me last year.
Yeah.
The starting tight end, Jake Roberts, he played tight end with me at North Texas, I think 2023. But I talked to them after the game, and I was just like, bro, how was it out there? And they was just like, bro, like, goodness, like, fam, everybody is somebody, and everybody can tackle, everybody can run. He was like, the secondary can run like DBs and tackle like linebackers. And he was just like, bro, it's just a scary defense to go compete against. But yeah, like, that performance was just outrageous, crazy, like putting up video game numbers out there. But I seen it happening. I know the guys, like all of them. And so I just was like, you got to let dogs like that hunt. And that's what they did. They went out there and they hunted.
They did, man. So so you mentioned North Texas there, and you played there obviously for several years. Kind of a little bit odd after the game. Not odd's not the right word, but I did want to get your take on, your former head coach there was Oklahoma's offensive coordinator, obviously played at Oklahoma, served as their OC for the first, 6 or 7 games of the season, and unfortunately did get dismissed after the game. Like, what do you think of that when you see that happen to somebody that and you played for?
I feel for him because, like, that is my guy. That's my dog. That's you know what I mean? Because he gave me the chance to play college football, and that's all I could ask for. But, it's college football at the end of the day. That's how it goes nowadays. So, yeah, that's all I got to say. That's just college football at the end of the day.
Yep. Results-based business for sure, no doubt about it. So, going back to the defense, man, 9 sacks, 9 different players, 2 picks.
Shout out Gil. Gil got him one too. Shout out Gil.
Just about almost everybody got one in there. I don't know. Have you ever seen, number one, have you ever seen 9 sacks in a game? And even if you have you ever seen 9 different players get those sacks? Because I really don't think I have. I've racked my brain.
No. Like I said, like it was just like video game numbers. I've never seen them before. It was crazy. Yeah. Like, even, like, watching them is wild. Playing against them is even crazier because, like, they're a very, like, close group. Like, very close. Like, kind of scary close where, like, everybody knows what they're going to do and everything. And, like, when you got a team like that, especially a side of the ball like that, like, it's a scary team to go – it's a scary side of football to go against. You know what I mean? So, I've never seen it before. Hopefully, I see it again. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully I get to see it again.
Yeah, for sure. Dylan Stewart, man, as a freshman, I can't remember if we've, the last time we talked to you, can't even remember, honestly, at what point of the year that was, preseason, maybe after a couple games, I can't remember. But, Dylan obviously is a young kid, but he just can do some things, man, that aren't typical of a freshman. Just give me your thoughts on him, if you will.
Yeah, he can do a lot of things that's not typical of a freshman, but, like, a lot of people don't understand he can do a lot of things not typical of a 6'6", 260-pound guy. Like, Guys like that aren't supposed to be moving like that on the football field, man. And, like, when you see it, you know it's special. Like, I kind of figured it out when I seen him for the first time because he's on my block in the locker room. I was just like, dang, bro, he's long. Like, dang, he's tall. I'm like, wow. Then I seen him on the field, and I seen him hit somebody with a Euro step, and I was like, bro, no. Like, guys like that aren't supposed to be moving. He's just a special kid. Like, and it's crazy. Like, being able to see it like live action and watching it in practice is crazy. It's a blessing.
Best sack celebration. So you talked about the Euro. That's our guy Kyle Kennard. He has the Euro to the layup. He got him a sack.
You asked me who got the best celebration?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to D-Knight.
All right. Yeah. So break that down. We were talking. What is that exactly? Like, I mean,
So
I see. But
we sit together in the team meeting rooms and like we just be chopping it up before meetings sometimes. And so like it's like this little anime thing that if you go back, I don't know what I think it's Naruto. I don't know, but it's just like a ninja just kind of sitting there, just like, you know what I'm saying? Boom. It's pretty dope. I was like, hey bro, I was like, hey, you need to hit this. He was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, do that. You know, Devo got his little yell. You know, that's cool and everything. I like Devo's yell. The Euro step is outrageous. I love the Euro step because it's boom. You know what I'm saying? TJ's is dope. TJ's is dope. Little rock out with the sledgehammer. That's dope. All of them got dope like celebrations, honestly.
Yeah, they're all good. It's hard. You couldn't go wrong. You also got, Nicky broke out the little, the Oklahoma troll with the, after his pick six.
Well, he did the Wheezy. He did the Wheezy. With the pick six, the Wheezy.
Okay, the Wheezy.
That's called the G-Wheezy.
Okay. I like that one.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. We seen it in a video before the game, and we was like, hey, if anybody getting in that zone, we hitting the Wheezy for sure. Shout out to Wheezy.
That is hilarious. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities to celebrate too, obviously. So, all right, man, we're gonna move to the offensive side of the ball. We're gonna take a quick timeout here. When we come back on the other side with Oscar Attaway of Gamecock Football, you're listening to the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
We all love streaking. I mean, streaming. Until we have to pay for it. But not when you stream the game.
And how much does it cost?
It's free. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app. And stream for no charge. And listen for no charge. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Here on The Game, presenting sponsor of the Gamecock Club Hour, our friends at Krantz Cooling and Heating. Whatever you need with your HVAC needs, they can take care of it for you. My guy, Justin Krantz, the general manager there. General manager of a family-owned and operated business. Not many of those around anymore, actually. Since 1983, they have been servicing families like yours in the Midlands. They've been to my home. I actually trusted them to go to my mom's home to put in not one but two mini splits for her. They've actually put a mini split in my garage, too. It is awesome in the summer, nice and cool and comfortable. In the winter, they can have it heated up for you. They can do anything that you need from an HVAC standpoint. Free second opinion on coil leaks and compressors. Awesome family-owned business, again, since 1983. KrantzCooling.com, Krantz with a K, Cooling with a K, or 803-672-3224.
Bill Gunner for Charwood Golf Club, where this fall, if you are not at Willie B, you should be at the Wood. Go ahead and book your tee time online, charwood.com. Get out and discover one of the Midlands' hidden gems and the 18-hole layout at Charwood Golf Club. So go ahead today. Again, if you are not at Willie B this fall, enjoy the weather, enjoy the laid-back atmosphere at the Wood. 803-755-2000 or book online, charwood.com. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy, where the winning is only beginning. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
I'm with Jason Reynolds of the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm. Jason, why should someone injured on the job or in a vehicle accident consider your firm?
Well, we're not a huge firm,
with just a phone number and a website. When you bring your case to us, you actually meet with your lawyer. And when you call, you can actually speak to your lawyer. We also have a diverse team that understands you and where you're coming from.
Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Plumber near me.
Hey, we can help.
Weird. Only big companies.
No, we're only 2 miles away. Can you not see us?
Nope, they can't see you yet. Get Cumulus Boost and get on the map. CumulusBoost.com.
The Gamecock Club Hour with Gamecock Central.
Presented by Grant's Cooling and Heating.
On the Game Network.
All right, welcome back in. Chris Clark here on the game. It's the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Grant's Cooling and Heating. I'm hanging out with Oscar Attaway from Gamecock Football and recapping the big win over Oklahoma and talking about some other stuff related to the 2024 season. Oscar, before we get back to the game, real quick, wanted to give you an opportunity just to, shout out the Gamecock fans. I was in Norman, and I happened to walk by the tunnel that you were going back into the locker room on. So I saw, the team going back in. I saw Beamer, and it seemed like you were one of the later guys off the field, and I saw you loving up some of the Gamecock fans. So what did you think about the Gamecock presence there in Norman? I know you had some family there as well.
It was lovely, man. Like, even them sitting right there by that tunnel it meant something to them. You can tell, like, it means something to these Colombian, South Carolina fans. And it's love, like, seeing it everywhere we go. Not just Norman, Oklahoma, but for them to even be in Norman, Oklahoma, like, that's one of the farthest games we're going to have this year, right? Like,
yeah.
So for them to even come to Oklahoma was dope. Like, a lot of family came out there, like, guys on the team's families, but, just seeing the guys that are fans of just the Gamecocks, you can't ask for anything else, man. Like, huge shout out to them. And we love doing it for them.
So let's move over to the offensive side of the ball now. Obviously, offense gets, great field position after Nick's first pick there.
Mm-hmm.
Scores, makes some other big plays. What did you think about the offensive performance just in general? Like, give me like the good, like the without giving away game plan stuff, right? But the good, hey, we still got to hone in on this area. Like, what'd you think overall?
We performed pretty well. A lot of people say, oh, this offense can be good. I don't like when I hear that. Like, it's not can. This offense is going to be good. Like, it's just the next opportunity. That's all it takes is the next opportunity to go out there and show everybody how good this offense is going to be. But we did pretty good, in my opinion.
How have you seen Lenoris Sellers grow? Like, as you play with him, as you watch him, as you watch the tape back, like, I assume you've seen him grow. I think he has.
For sure.
What areas have you seen the most growth in for him?
First, I want to give a huge shout out to Lenoris. Like, I think I seen somewhere that he was like the #1 SEC passer had the #1 percentage for a passer in the SEC this week, and that's huge. But I've seen him grow from like getting the ball down to the check down, being out there with them, like in the battle with them, and he's just like, hey, let's check to this, check to that, at the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? And that's a redshirt freshman doing that, not your typical thing to see. A lot of that is like, oh, I'll just listen to the OC. I'm gonna do whatever the OC tell me to do. Nah, like, hey, he's out there doing his own thing. Then he comes to the sideline. He says this, he says that. He goes into different huddles, talking to the O-line, talking to the tight ends, talking to the receivers, talking to the running backs, and like, I see him grow every single day, man. Like, it's gonna be scary come these next coming weeks seeing this guy play in the SEC. It's gonna be wild.
Well, coming into the game, one of the things that Coach Beamer had talked about a lot, obviously the fans had talked about a lot, I talked about a lot, was just the turnovers, right? Like, that seemed, if you're talking about areas to improve, like taking care of the football.
And he did improve. We had 0 turnovers as an offense. 0 turnovers.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
Yeah, shout out Lenoris.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think aside from that? Like, because you said the offense is going to be good, and we've all seen that,
Sparks.
Right?
Yeah, right.
That's a good word, sparks. So, like, what is the next step aside from, stringing together? Hey, here's several games of taking care of the ball. Like, what else is there to continue to get better?
Efficiency.
Okay.
Just keep going back at it, keep doing it. Efficiency and doing the right thing every single time, Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, this offense is a merged together offense. A lot of players weren't here last year. Most of the players weren't here last year. None of us took snaps with one another. Besides, I think only 2 guys on our offense took a snap together last year. Rashawn Lee and Casey Henry. Our starting center and our starting right tackle, and they took 1 snap. Think about that. They took 1 snap together, and then he got hurt in the first game last year. So, it's 11 guys that's just now getting together since January. It's like the 10th month. It's October, so we've been together for 9 months. Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, we're getting better. Like, just no turnovers this past game. Like, man, like, just wait.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I mean, I went back and looked in the regular season finale last year, like the number of guys that were on the field out there as starters that are back. It wasn't a lot, right?
None of us.
I mean, it's pretty wild. So, hey, what did you think of there was the touchdown play to Josh Simon on the little give me your put on your coaching hat for me, like your scheme hat. That to me it looked like a little fake speed option type of thing.
It was beautiful. You know how you see football plays and you're like, man, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, that was one of those plays. So we ran the triple option. Option during the I think Alabama week. It was like a 3rd and 7, and we got the first down with the triple option. Like, a lot of people don't see the triple option out of the spread offense before. Usually it's under center. So, boom, we ran the triple option against Alabama, and then, a lot of people are really scared of it. So, we come into this game, and we run it, and, boom, boom, and then we just got the tight end just going up the numbers to the left right there, and, just a artistic, beautiful play designed by Dow Loggins and Juszczyk to put together. But it was magnificent, seeing it all come together. When the play happened, it was the huddle before we went out there, and we were all sitting over there like, hey, bro, this is it, this touchdown. You know what I mean? Because we practice it, and we're like, this touchdown was one of our plays that we love as offense. And so seeing it happen was beautiful, man. Josh Simon, faked very well, great pickup by Rocket. You see 16 with the fake little out there to the option player. Man, it was just a well put together play.
For sure, man. So, back to one more question on Oklahoma before we move on. How good was their defense, though? Right, those guys are pretty salty too.
They were. They were one of the highest ranked defenses in the SEC before going into the game. That's what Coach Beamer was telling us about, and he was like, it was a great defense. They were flying around, man. Bowman in the back end. You got 28. I forgot his name. I'm sorry.
Stutzman. Yeah.
Shout out to him. You know, he's a big 6'4" linebacker sitting there in the middle of the defense. You know, long, can get around, move around. Had a great D-line. They were good defense. They were well put together. You know, have Venables with his background. I mean, like, you can't say that his defense is ever going to be bad because, like, man, like, ever since he became a DC when he was a DC at Clemson, like, I told him after the game, I walked up to him, Chris, I'm not going to lie, I was like, yo, like, hey, it's an honor to, like, shake your hand. Like, me and my mom used to, like, watch Clemson games back when I was, like, in the 11th grade. Like, I'm a huge fan. Like, thank you for letting me shake your hand, dog. Like, great game. But, it was a great defense, well coached, and well played.
Yeah, good stuff, man. So, all right, so bye week now. Y'all get a week, not off, like you said, you're working, but off from playing. Then you got A&M. What's the mentality now, man, for this team, for you, for this team? 7 games down, 5 more to go, still got a lot in front of you to be able to accomplish.
Well, we got 5 games, but everybody's main goal and main thought process is Texas A&M. That's the only thing on our mind, and that's the same as me. That's the only thing on my mind is Texas A&M. We got to go out there and perform. Do what you can do to perform your best against Texas A&M and get coached by some of the great coaches in the SEC and go out there and perform Saturday in Willie B at 7:45. Night game. Lovely.
Yep. Night game will be awesome, man. Think people are excited about that in Columbia.
Please show up. Please.
Oh, you know they will. You know they will. So, all right. Well, hey, I appreciate it, man. It's been fun. Shout out to the Gamecock Club and Krantz Cooling and Heating for helping us get Oscar here again. I'm going to let you run, man. I know you got a lot to get going even on a bye week, so appreciate your time. It's always great talking to you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Chris.
All right, man.
Go Cox.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
All right, our friends over at Integrated Media, you hear us talk about them every day here on the show. They can help you take your home to the next level, whether that's just your home theater setup, if you need a new TV and you're not sure what brand is best, what size you need, where you can mount it. They can do all that stuff for you. You don't have to use the big box, big brand stores. You can use local service from Integrated Media, Michael and Nathan. I've trusted them to come out to my home. So is Wes. They can come out to yours and help you out. IntegratedMediaInc.com or 803-948-8327. They can do stuff like that, but they can also make your home a smart home, and that means you can control your lights, your thermostat, your sound system, your security and cameras, all from the touch of a button on your smartphone, whether you're just downstairs and want to control something upstairs or if you're completely away. IntegratedMediaInc.com, 803-948-8327.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
The Gamecock Go Pass is back. For only $20 a month, you'll receive access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. To learn more about the Gamecock Go Pass, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
It's welcome back season at Village Idiot Pizza. Welcome back students. Welcome back football. And welcome back to creating shared experiences over pizza with all your friends. We at the Village Idiot are excited to cheer on all your favorite teams, especially our very own Gamecocks. Join us on Divine Street in 5 Points or Olympia at the Mills to watch all the big games. Or grab your tailgate munchies. Visit us at villageidiotpizza.com to find out what's happening. Go Gamecocks. And go Tigers. Benedict Tigers. What'd you think I meant?
Honey, look. The hookers. They've moved off the highway and now they're all over the parking lot.
What are all those Schroeder's towing trucks doing in that parking lot, though?
Must be towing all those unauthorized cars parked in the lot. Good thing the business owner called Schroeder's Towing to keep their parking lot clear for just their customers. Didn't those cars see the free signage that Schroeder's provides to business owners to deter unauthorized parking?
I guess not.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed cracks in your drywall, chimney, or exterior walls? I hope not, because if you have, they could be indications that you've got a much bigger problem with your foundation. That's where Mount Valley Foundation Services comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to stabilize your foundation. Schedule your free inspection at fixmyfoundation.com/row, and while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
AAA Heating and Air is on the hunt to find the oldest AC unit in our Midland service area. Do you think it could be yours? If you do, it could pay off. AAA Heating and Air and My Oldest AC contest is kicking off, and you have a chance to win a new HVAC system for your home. Just head over to their website, myoldAir.com, and complete the online entry form. AAA Heating and Air will draw a winner at random for every 100 entries. It really is that easy. Contest is limited time only. Residents in the AAA Heating and Air service area are eligible to enter. See the terms and rules on their website for a full list of contest rules.
Bingo. All right, Bill, we're recording now. And please put your phone on silent.
Oh, where is my phone?
Let's go, man.
Okay.
Get it together over there, player. Go ahead. Pick on me the way that you want to.
I wouldn't say that to my son.
Just go.
All right, why would people want to listen to the Sims Complete podcast?
A father-son dynamic duo talking about the game of football.
We do a lot of quarterback and coach talks. It's fun. I love doing this. It's been awesome.
Sims Complete. Check us out on the Believe Network. Appreciate it.
Just search Believe, BLEAV, wherever you listen.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Tyler Hedda and Chris Clark along with you. Appreciate Oscar Attaway taking a little bit of time here on the bye week to kind of give his assessment on how his first half of the season here at South Carolina has gone. Of course, a big win on Saturday, taking it out in Oklahoma the way they did, and it sounded like he was even pleasantly surprised with how many people showed up for that. And I know he's new to the SEC, obviously playing in North Texas, but man, fans will travel anywhere. It doesn't matter how far away that game is, especially for a new venue like Oklahoma. Gamecock fans going to show up.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I told Oscar this when we were talking, but, you know, he was one of the last people off the field, and I think he was kind of soaking it in, and he mentioned that he had, you know, a bunch of family coming in for the game. He's from Little Rock, Arkansas, played at North Texas, so kind of some interesting connections for him, right, because his former head coach at North Texas, Seth Luttrell, was calling plays in that game for Oklahoma. He's since been dismissed. We talked about that a little bit, so go back and check that out. It'll be up on the podcast page if you wanted to check it out. But, yeah, it's funny, Tyler. I mean, I was looking back. North Texas, their home stadium seats 30,000 people, you know. And not that South Carolina brought 30,000 fans to Norman, but there were a bunch, man. I was walking around Norman, got there Thursday. So, you know, Thursday, Friday, obviously Saturday in the game, after the game, there were lots of Gamecock fans. I had somebody estimate 5,000, maybe more, maybe a little less.
It was definitely easy to spot in the stadium because they were doing the white out. So, that wasn't wearing white, likely was not an Oklahoma fan. So that little pocket of Gamecock fans was very easy to pick out when watching the game.
They had the corner section near the band. That was a pretty big section. That section is not like two levels. That's kind of that lower. It's not a small lower section, but an extended lower section. They were covering that one up pretty good. There were a bunch of Gamecocks kind of sprinkled throughout the rest of the stadium. If you knew somebody from Oklahoma, you know, a lot of Gamecock fans like from Texas, you know, came in from the game, and then a bunch in the upper levels too. So it was a good showing. I thought I liked Tyler. Oscar, I got him to break down the celebrations, right, of the people, of the different guys. He was a fan of Demetrius Knight, which I didn't know. Wes and I talked about that on the podcast yesterday. What is D Knight's celebration? And it was kind of reminds me of the Gavin Cassis Homer celebration. He said it was from like anime or something.
Okay.
You know,
he's an anime guy.
I guess they both are.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I know nothing about it.
That's not my bag.
He even mentioned the name, and Naruto, or so. I was like,
okay. I'm familiar with Naruto.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I just kind of made that up.
Yeah,
I think
that's the one where they run with their arms behind their back. That's called Naruto Run. I know that at least.
Sure. All right, but anyway, that was it. So I like that one. I mean, there's no bad celebration, and there are a lot of opportunities.
Well, if you are not doing something that's going to get you flagged, there is no bad celebration. So as long as it's not illegal or not going to be frowned upon, yes, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, I've been hard on officiating in college football powers that be. One thing that they did say this year is they're going to let guys celebrate. As long as it's not excessive, as long as it's not taunting. Of course, they don't always catch the taunting. And that's been fun. That's good. You should be able to celebrate. You make a big play, you should be able to celebrate. I've even watched a few this season where I'm like, ooh, my brain's so conditioned to, that's going to get a flag, and this year they let it go.
Right. Yeah.
Which is cool.
And the standard, as long as you're not directing it at someone, like, if you're dancing on top of a quarterback after you sacked him, okay, that's going to get you a penalty. But if you go off to the side and you're celebrating with your teammates or your defensive line coach or whatever, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a pretty good place to put it. Now that you brought that up, I was just thinking about this. I don't recall any, Georgia players doing the horns down on Saturday, which that would have been a prime opportunity to do it because Texas has won every game they played so far this year. I don't think the horns down thing is really, as far as on the field stuff, has really come up this year yet.
It hasn't. That's interesting.
I'm sure it will in College Station in a couple, a month from now. But I just thought about that. We haven't really seen that too much this year.
Very offensive.
Right?
Very horns down. I mean, we can't, and that's. All right, let's talk about. We were talking about officiating.
Yep.
Talking about Texas, Georgia. I know you had some thoughts on this yesterday, Tyler. I haven't really weighed in here yet. So Texas, and for those that may have missed it, I don't think anybody did. Texas picked the ball off, and they made a call, announced the call, spotted the ball. Things were thrown on the field, and then they reversed the call. Okay, so there's your summary. And certainly it looked like, the appearance because of everything that happened is that it looked like because fans threw a bunch of junk on the field, the officials were like, oh, maybe we got it wrong, looked at it. Right. It was more of they had some extra time to look at it. Now, Texas wrote a letter from their AD, their president. They're going to be, I guess, using AI or something and finding the students that did this.
Well, it's not like there's not 10 billion cameras
There's
out there
a lot
where you
of
can figure
cameras.
this out.
Yeah. Well, the guy with the big hair has found that out.
that poor kid.
You see somebody found him?
I did.
On Twitter?
I did not.
Yeah,
I
they took a picture with him. It was pretty awesome.
Somebody still looked like he had a Guardian cap on.
Yeah, he did. So that poor guy. But they're going to basically revoke those students' privileges, right? And so, of course,
I think Tennessee did something similar a couple of years ago with the mustard bottle
with the
thing.
French's bottles. So I am not obviously advocating that people throw crap on the field. Shouldn't do that. But what that showed, regardless of the intent, now the precedent, and I'm not the first person to say this, obviously. Kirby Smart said this after the game. The precedent is if a call's wrong, throw crap on the field, delay the game, maybe they'll take another look at it, right, and change it. Now, the SEC, of course, after this, they're on top of fining people for rushing the field. They do that. They got that queued up, ready to go. If a coach says something about the officials, you're fine. Death, taxes, and a fine, right? Like it is ready to go. And, of course, Texas, and I agree with doing this, Texas is going to punish the students that did this. But what the SEC hasn't done, and this is not a new thing, that situation was new to me. I haven't seen that. They refuse to treat the disease that these symptoms keep happening from. We went through this earlier in the season. South Carolina LSU had to go back to, okay, This isn't the first time it's happened. It happened in this game in the SEC. It happened in this game at South Carolina. It happened in 2019. And we saw like some changes maybe behind the scenes. We saw the head of officiating change the following year in the SEC. But the stuff is still happening. And the appearance of it, the SEC comes out and says, well, they're allowed to change the call. Like that? I've never seen that.
Not on a play that is otherwise not reviewable, because essentially, while they're picking up the bottles and cans from the field, they were replaying this on the Jumbotron.
Yes.
And officials do have eyes, contrary to popular belief, so they could see, we did actually screw that call up, which, again, I don't disagree with the fact that it was not pass interference. And the call that they ended up with was correct. It's the way that they got there, which is completely unprecedented for how this is supposed to work.
That's right.
You're not supposed to be able to review pass interference.
Well, you want them to get the call right, but you want to do it within. We've seen so many instances that there's 2 different rules this year that have been called a certain way that the league has come back and said, actually, we're going to call that. Well, not the league, the SEC on one, the punt block for South Carolina. The other one, the Dan Lanning loophole.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 2 rules where they haven't changed the rules, but they said they're just going to interpret it a different way. Well, what is that? What precedent is that?
And also, look, throwing a flag and then picking the flag up is not unprecedented. That happens all the time, because when you throw a flag, it is a lot of times one official's judgment on what he saw. They come together, they talk about it, and sometimes say, you know what, that wasn't a penalty. They announce there is no flag for whatever you thought it was going to be, and they continue on. So they had that opportunity because they all came together the first time, talked about it, said whatever they needed to say, and then head official keys up the mic, pass interference, 15-yard penalty, we're going to respot the ball wherever, first down Georgia. And they were ready to go for the next play until all hell broke loose. So, again, you had the opportunity to fix it the first time. You didn't. And, again, by procedure, you're not supposed to change it after that.
Yeah. And I would say this, and I'm not a confrontational person. I would say this if Greg Sankey were sitting right here in between us. I think he's done some really good things as the SEC commissioner. But the fact that the SEC is the best college football conference in the world, in the history of the universe, why doesn't it have the best officiating? Now, I've talked to coaches in the league who've said, look, I know it's not great. It's still better than the Big Ten. It's better than the ACC. Fine. It needs to be. The football is elite. Just watch the product this year. Why is the officiating not elite? You may say, well, we can't hire full-time officials. Go hire them. You make enough money. I don't want to hear we don't have the money for it. Figure it out. Get rid of a couple of administrators that don't do anything. There's plenty of them, I'm sure. I don't want anybody to lose their job. Figure it out. This is too important to have multiple games. No fan wants to be talking about the officials after the game.
Yeah.
We weren't talking about the officials after South Carolina, Oklahoma. It wasn't a close game. Chances are one call wouldn't have gone either way. Sure. But that's what you want. You want to watch a football game, and you want to watch football.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be talking about LSU, South Carolina. That was a great college football game. We should have been just talking about the game and how awesome it was, win or loss.
Yeah.
Other than the officials. Greg Sankey, it's on him. Figure this thing out. The injury situation, right?
Yep.
Figure it out. It's not easy, but that's what you get paid the big bucks for. This has been, honestly, a failure, and it's a multi-year failure. And I've asked people who have a lot of respect for Greg Sankey and have taken up for him. Those people are getting very impatient with this, too, and think that something needs to happen.
If something is going to happen, this is the perfect catalyst for it, because you had one of the, if not the biggest games in all of college football this year. Prime time, ABC, number 1 versus number 5. You've seen the ratings. Everybody in the entire country was watching. You had this officiating gaffe, and this isn't a Georgia versus Texas thing. Everybody knew that was done incorrectly. People on the Texas side of things knows that was done incorrectly. So if something's going to change, this would be the kind of moment to make that change. And if nothing changes after this, then I don't think it's ever going to change, unfortunately.
Well, and there's another thing, right? If something does change, I'm glad, right? But people like Gamecock fans will say, well, it took Texas and Georgia, and that might be right.
Well, if this happened against Auburn and Mississippi State, it'd be a big deal, but not nearly as big of a deal because only half the people would have seen it. Exactly. Yeah. Like, hey, did you see this weird thing that happened in this game the other day? But because it's two teams with national championship level aspirations and it didn't affect the outcome of the game because Georgia still won, but it was a huge embarrassment on national television.
It was. And so, the ball's in Sankey's court, in the SEC's court. We'll see if they do anything so far with officiating. Matters. They've only been worried about protecting the officials in the conference office and, just kind of ignoring everything else and trying to gaslight fans into thinking that everything's fine. And we all know that it's not. So get it fixed, bottom line.
We'll come back, wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Crans Heating & Cooling. Kind of get a vibe check for what's going on across the SEC as we're roughly halfway through the 2024 college football regular season. Remind you that coming up tomorrow, Carolina Calls, 6 o'clock here on the game in Columbia and Myrtle Beach. Don't exactly know who's going to be on Carolina Calls just yet. We'll let you know when we do know, as it is a bye week for Gamecock football. Gamecock Club Hour presented by Crans Cooling and Heating on your Tuesday here on the game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
This is Boomer Esiason with Sports Minute, sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast Burritos. Today's birthday shout-out goes to the incomparable Ichiro Suzuki. The only question about his appearance on this year's Hall of Fame ballot is whether he will be elected unanimously. Last month, the 51-year-old Japanese hit machine revealed that he had memorized certain Spanish phrases to help him bond with his teammates and trash-talk opponents. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? Because I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Do you have sagging, soft, or bouncy floors in your home? Well, this could be a sign of rotten wood caused by moisture in your crawl space. Damaged wood in your crawl space can affect your home's foundation, and that can affect your home's value, and nobody wants that. Say goodbye to sagging floors and hello to a stable foundation. Contact Canty today for your free inspection at 803-424-8380 or visit cantycanfixit.com.
What's up? It's Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game, here to tell you how you can cash in on all the sports action this fall with my friends over at Prize Picks. Football, basketball, postseason baseball, doesn't matter. You can win up to 100 times your cash just by picking more or less on at least 2 players and their stat projections. I'm a huge fan of Prize Picks, been using it all football season long, and love using more on the passing yard projections for some of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. Prize Picks will put its members first, so your withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure, and I get my winnings in up to 15 minutes. They also have injury insurance, so even if one of your players gets injured and leaves in the first half, doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. So what are you waiting for? Just go ahead and download the app today. Use promo code 1075GAME, again, 1075GAME, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And for basketball season, they're introducing a free Anthony Edwards square where you can win if all he does is score more than 1 point on opening night. Prize Picks. Run your game.
It's your broker, Benji Getzi. 6 straight weeks of declining rates. Now is the time. V8 30-year fixed, 4.8%, APR 5.2. 30-year conventional, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home investors, 6.4%. DSCR and fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. So visit Buford.mortgage for the fastest rate quotes in the industry, available 24/7. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker.
Gamecock Club Hour
with Gamecock Central.
presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating on the Game Network.
Well, I think it's him understanding that we have confidence and belief in him. Again, we were very clear of why we made that move at the end of the second quarter of him kind of recalibrating, him getting refocused, giving him a chance to get into the locker room so that we could visit. And again, I thought it was an effective move for him, for us as a team. But we got a ton of respect for Quinn, a ton of confidence in Quinn. I think he's going to come out and play really good football for us here the second half of the season.
Welcome back in as the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Tyler Head and Chris Clark along with you on your Tuesday. That was the voice of Steve Sarkisian talking to me yesterday about his belief in Quinn Ewers and lost in the stories of what happened from Saturday because of that controversial call in Georgia's 30-15 win over Texas is the fact that Texas made a switch at quarterback in the second quarter of that game. Quinn Ewers and the entire Texas offense was not getting anything done against Georgia. So they make the switch to Arch Manning, much to the delight of everybody there at DK Memorial Stadium out there in Texas. And I mean, he didn't really do a whole lot of note, and Quinn Ewers was back out there after halftime. But nevertheless, the switch was made, which is something that Sark said he was not going to do, barring an injury. So now, is there a controversy at quarterback in Texas is the question.
You know, I think if you were maybe taking it a little too far, you could say yes. And there might be an argument because you say, well, Chris, I mean, he switched quarterbacks in the middle of the game, right? But the way it was couched was always, hey, we needed Quinn to settle down. They were clear. It was like, now, if Arch Manning had come in and throwing 3 touchdowns in a row, he's probably still in the game, and maybe there is one, right? It seemed like they planned on returning to Quinn Ewers, right? Now, you never know how that's going to go. I think what Sark said is actually what they planned. Let's let him settle down. Let's get into halftime. Let's talk. Let's see how everybody feels, and then go from there. And obviously, they would have baked in how Arch Manning was playing into that, and as it was, I mean, nobody was really that effective during that game for Texas, so they were able to go back to Quinn. But to me, Tyler, I don't think there's one right now because I think they're going to go back to Quinn Ewers. He's going to play. He's probably going to play pretty well because Texas is still really good. Georgia does this to a lot of teams. I don't think you need to have some bold takeaway that Texas is, a pretender or anything. They're still really good. They had not played anybody like Georgia, clearly, yet. And once they did, they got beat pretty soundly. And Georgia is not just somebody good, not just a challenge. They are, right now, they're, the challenge, really, in college football, or one of the top, 2 to 3. For me, the more interesting subplot was, what do you think about taking a quarterback of Quinn Ewers' experience level and talent and having to bench him in the middle of the game was kind of interesting to me to settle him down.
Yeah, you wonder what that does to the psyche of a guy like that. And again, he's just returning from injury. He just came back at the Oklahoma game, the week before. So, still knocking off some rust. And again, this is a guy that came into the year as a Heisman Trophy candidate, projected as a first round pick, whether you want to believe that or not. So benching him is definitely eye-opening. And again, Arch Manning played fine in the games that he had to fill in for him. Again, there wasn't the toughest competition, certainly, but the belief that Arch Manning was going to suddenly generate something with his offense is interesting, and I get it. Making a change can provide a spark at times, but and there was the false report that came out last night that Ewers was going to sit out the rest of the season, prepare for the draft, and all that kind of stuff. That it didn't end up being true. But I know for anybody that read that before it was debunked, you probably initially I can believe that with what happened on Saturday, and you kind of wonder what this does for the relationship and how the rest of the year goes for Texas, given that happened on Saturday.
Yeah, and it could be it's just nothing. It could be that now Quinn Ewers didn't come back. That didn't light a fire under Quinn Ewers. He came back and led him to victory against Georgia. That didn't happen. But we could look back at it and say, that was a move that either really didn't have an effect one way or another, or, hey, it was actually a good move, I just thought it was interesting. I'm not even passing judgment and saying, oh, that's a bad sign that they had to bench him. Some people have gone that direction, and I get it. At the same time, even for somebody with Ewer's experience level, his talent level, playing for Sark, having a lot of talent around him, you know, if you're Steve Sarkisian, you can look at it and go, I mean, it's kind of rattled right now, right? And that happens even to, I mean, that happens. Look at that Texas offensive line. That is one of the better offensive lines in the country. Georgia gave them tons of problems. I mean, Jalen Walker against Texas's probable first-round pick at left tackle. That looked like a mismatch for most of the night. So it wasn't just Quinn Ewers. You're at the point there where you're kind of maybe not scrambling, but you are, like you said, Tyler, you're trying to create a spark. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. I tend to think Ewers plays the rest of the season, plays well. Texas still has a great shot at the college football playoff, obviously. You know, they just have the one loss to a really, really good team. I tend to think it's going to end up being, you know, probably not much.
Well, it's one of those things that, okay, now you've seen what it's like to face an elite level team in the SEC. How do you respond? Because, again, Texas has got high caliber athletes. They've got 4 and 5 stars all over that team. But that is kind of one of those humbling type of experiences, saying, okay, how do you learn from this? How do you get better? Because you still got tough tests coming down the road. You still got to go take on Texas A&M in College Station. You could theoretically match up with Georgia again in the SEC championship game, and who knows what you would have in the playoffs. So I'm interested to see how much of a learning experience that was for Texas and if they adapt and get better going forward. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of great football coming up this weekend. In fact, they got to go to Vanderbilt this weekend. That's not going to be easy either.
Top 25 matchup.
That's right. Just ask Alabama how that went after that win against Georgia. So we'll see what happens there. We'll dive back into Gamecock football. A couple of Gamecock defensive players getting some high honors coming away from the weekend after their game against Oklahoma. It's coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Taking good care of your home's roof can be challenging, but there is good news. You don't have to go at it alone. With years of expertise under their hats, the guys at Classic Roofing, they've been the go-to residential and commercial roofing company for home and business owners around the Midlands for years now. Quality craftsmanship, customer service is simply unmatched by the other guys, and so you can feel total confidence in your decision to hire Classic Roofing for the next roofing job that you need to complete. They're here for all of your roofing needs: roof inspections, roof installations, roof replacements, roof repairs. Go check out classicroofingsc.com to find out more. You can see video up top, shows you some of their process. Really cool stuff. Check out their reviews and check out what they can do for you. You can also get a free estimate. classicroofingsc.com, or contact Joe Reeder and Max Sawyer at 803-590-7870.
Firehouse Subs, hook and ladder jingle, take one.
Hook and ladder, when it's hot, it just tastes better. Warm that smoky turkey, that thin slice.
Guys, this is a 30-second ad. You gotta sing faster.
Hook and ladder, when it's hot, it just tastes better. Melty cheese and toast spread, mustard, mayo, purple spread, lettuce, green, and onion. The sandwich is too big for the song. It's too big.
The Hook and Ladder, available only at participating Firehouse Subs restaurants.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Come see the entire line of GE appliances at 1421 Atlas Road. Jeffers McGill offers the best customer service and lowest price on every GE make and model,
including GE Profile, Monogram, and Cafe brands. Jeffers McGill and GE, your home team.
For appliances with Reliances, that's Jeffers McGill.
Calling all business owners and property managers. Is it finally time to get that parking lot or driveway repaved? Call Black Seal today. Black Seal is a locally owned commercial asphalt construction and maintenance company, servicing local churches, schools, shopping centers, warehouses, restaurants, you name it. If it needs asphalt paving or asphalt repair, Black Seal has you covered. If you're looking to pave your parking lot or driveway, Black Seal paves the way. Black Seal also provides maintenance options to maintain your asphalt and improve your curb appeal. Get your free estimate and visit blacksealsc.com. GameCocks.com to learn more.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is more than just a legal process. It's a life-changing event that can impact your future, finances, and your relationship with your children. You've worked hard to build a life that you're proud of, and you deserve a legal partner who will work just as hard to protect it.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Columbia area attorneys. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. 1201 Main Street, Suite 840, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. CordellCordell.com.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around. So I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmett's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
The home of the national champion, Gamecocks women's basketball team. Congrats, y'all.
A Cumulus media station.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
With Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head.
on your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
On 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5
The Game in Florence.
11 o'clock on your Tuesday morning. Welcome in Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark along with you here as we move past what happened on Saturday with South Carolina and Oklahoma and get into the bye week. And I was thinking about this earlier. For the second time this year, Carolina goes into a bye week off a really impressive victory with a tough opponent lying ahead, this time in Texas A&M in 2 weeks. Let's just hope the result against A&M is a lot better than the one against Ole Miss a couple weeks back.
Yeah, you don't want to have the, what did Beamer say, hot garbage performance.
That was a good way to put it.
It's certainly what you're looking to avoid here. And look, I mean, any week on this schedule, just about, and there might be, a couple exceptions on there, you're going to be playing a really good opponent. And we talk about this a lot, guys. When, beginning of the year, you look at the schedule, it's a piece of paper at that point, basically, or a digital, piece of digital property, and you're looking at it and going
PDF.
Yeah, a PDF. There you go. And you're looking at that thing and going, all right, here's what I think. Be favored in this one. This one will be tough. This is a probable win. Whatever. And there's different opinions on that. That's going to change after a few weeks. It's certainly going to change by when you're past the midway point of the season. And Texas A&M is one of those games that we all knew they had talent, right? But they are in year one of a new coaching staff, but all indications are Mike Elko has those guys playing really well. They beat Missouri by 31. Mm-hmm. They've been really, really good. They had the loss early to Notre Dame, but they've been excellent in conference. We knew they would be talented. We knew that they would be well coached. We knew they would play hard. It was just kind of hard to figure out what would that mean in year one. So far, so good, right? So this is going to be a big challenge. Carolina has some extra time to prepare, for sure. Got to hope that the preparation is, leads to a better performance than what you saw in the last scenario like this.
And of course, we're going to have plenty of time to break down A&M. We'll get to see them in prime time against LSU coming up on Saturday for sole ownership of the top spot in the SEC, funny enough, this weekend for Carolina against them. But Wes, when we kind of assess where things are at with this bye week, we're sitting at 4-3. And when you look at the games they lost to LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss, those are three games that most people back in the summertime would have said, yeah, you probably are going to lose those games and would have been thrilled with winning the other four. But the context of losing those games obviously changed your opinion on them. But that being said, all the goals that we thought South Carolina could accomplish are still ahead of them, though there is work to be done this bye week, particularly on the offense, to put yourself in the best position for these final 5 games of the regular season.
Yeah, and I think, guys, those things do typically kind of balance out at the end of the season. If you sort of look back over a period of time, like I know the common thing you see from a lot of South Carolina fans is hey, you know, we could be 6-1, and you know, yeah, that's true. But also, you know, ODU could have won the opener, so ultimately, you always kind of will find some balance. I think when you look at kind of how it played out, maybe you wish you could have split those two when we're talking about LSU. It's time. And, you know, maybe you're sitting there feeling a lot better, you know, at 5-2, but it is what it is. You are what your record is. And, you know, I think for South Carolina, I thought it was interesting, Beamer talking about the bye week. Do you change anything this week compared to the last one? And, you know, I think, as always, and Beamer talked about this, it's always about health first and foremost. And so the last one, y'all remember, hey, Sellers was out, Rocket was out, Jared Brown was out, and really it was just about, hey, can we get these key players back close to 100%? And so I do think health is still a factor, but it's more just like big picture, like you got to prepare for the fact you've got this 5-game grind and there are no more bye weeks. And so Beamer talked about that, but I do think you will get some valuable reps for a young quarterback in Lenore Sellers. Beamer gave them Sunday off as well. He did not give them Sunday off completely during the last bye week. And so there are going to be some tweaks, but then ultimately it's going to be about what do you focus on as a staff and the time that you do have. And very clearly, Beamer, as happy as he was with the win on Sunday, wanted to see more efficiency from the offense. Didn't really seem happy with the third quarter performance overall. And also, guys, has said, look, we're playing all these true freshmen on offense, but we don't count them as freshmen anymore because they have played a ton of ball at this point. So I do think that was a slight maybe change in framing or phrasing in terms of how he's talked about the offense. And, you know, obviously, I think all of us maybe key in on that side of the ball for the bye week. You're not going to fix everything in a few days, but you have another sort of data set to self-scout and sort of see where you are in terms of your offense. And, you know, I'll be curious to see, are there even further tweaks on that side of the ball?
Well, and I think you have to kind of set parameters on that at this point in the year, because when we're talking about the first bye week, that was after the first month of the season. You know, there was still maybe an expectation of, okay, things can get significantly better in these areas, but when you played 7 games at this point in time, yes, you can make improvements, but it's not going to be leaps and bounds. You're not going to suddenly change the identity of what you're doing on offense, and, you know, your tackle spots with Henry and Thompson aren't suddenly going to become all SEC. Like, that's just not going to happen. You can get better, but you have to kind of tamper your expectations on how much better you can get with 5 games left to go.
Yeah, I mean, there are some areas where we've talked about this a lot. The defense, your defense travels, right? Now, that doesn't mean you can't, you know, have some regression. This defense is going to, you know, they're not all of a sudden, you're not going to look around and say, oh, they can't rush the passer anymore. You know, you're not going to get 9 sacks worth, right? Every game. You're probably not going to get, if you get half of that, that's a really, really good game. This is a team that's going to pressure. They're going to play hard. You're going to get that. I think the bigger question, right, when you're looking at this 5-game stretch is just exactly what you said, Wes. It's the health of the team, because you have these bye weeks relatively very close to each other. Ideally, you'd love to have another bye week in between in this 5-game stretch. You'd love to have one after the second game or after the third game so you can kind of reset, have a week to make some more in-depth corrections, and just for health, right? The good news is, you know, from that standpoint, this time you aren't just trying to get guys to Saturday, except for a couple. You're trying to get Jared Brown ready, which they seem to feel good. You're trying to get DeAndre Jules ready, but you're not trying to get your top wide receiver, quarterback, and running back good enough to go out there and play. You seem to feel good about that, but you do have that 5-game stretch looming, and when you play 5 straight games, 3 of them SEC, and another one against Clemson on the road to end the season, that is 5 opportunities to get banged up. I mean, you play in a football game, you're going to get hurt. You hope not to get injured. So that's one thing, just the health of the team, like Wes said. But the other part is offensively, I still get the feel incrementally, can you get better? Again, that doesn't mean South Carolina's not going to average 40 points a game in November. Let's go ahead and everybody would love that. You can even be mad that they're not. But just realistically, they're not going to do that, I don't think. So can you get incrementally better? And what we saw against Oklahoma was a good start to doing exactly what you need to do, which is not turn the football over. That's your starting point. Don't constantly go backwards because of penalties and administrative things. Don't turn the ball over 4 times, 3 times, 2 times like we had saw in the last 3 SEC games, right? Turnovers. You have, what is that, 9 turnovers in 3 games. That's not going to win a lot of games, and it didn't. So that was your starting point. Can you continue that? Can you continue to take care of the ball? And then can you get a little better each week offensively to where you're a little bit more of a threat, you're not having as many negative plays, et cetera?
Well, I think on offense too, guys. Yeah, Beamer said, hey, we're not calling them freshmen anymore, but it's also not like you've got a bunch of seniors out there either. So I do think that does still give you a little bit of hope of just continuing to get better. It's not like all these guys are just individually maxed out as far as who they are. I really liked what we saw out of Dre Jacobs on Saturday as well. So if he can keep coming along, Michael Smith, obviously Mazio Bennett's already made a big impact for you as a true freshman. And then for Lenoris to now be able to stack a few games where you're just playing, like you're not in and out of the game. You're not sort of playing at, 90%, something like that. Like you're playing, you're getting those reps. You're not being pulled because you're banged up, and you're not missing practice time. Like I think to get back to the drawing board for a few practices this week, probably very healthy for Sellers, just from a mental standpoint. And, there's always tweaks you can make to what you're doing schematically as well. We've seen at times, like you've seen teams where tweaks, they just try everything, and it really just doesn't change anything in terms of the result. We've also seen teams, we've seen it at South Carolina, where they just say, hey, we're going to overly simplify, let our guys go make plays. This is not the answer for every team. But you saw Carolina have a historic finish to the 2022 season. So, I think when it comes to this stuff, if it's not where you want it to be, you just got to keep chipping away. You got to sort of keep banging the drum, see if you can find something that's going to find a little bit more success for you. For Carolina, though, to me, it's just, can you create more consistency? Like we've seen it at times look pretty good. Now I think the mark of good football teams, or if you're talking specifically about offense or defense, the mark of a good offense at this level really isn't just to show you can do it. Like if you're playing at that level, you can do it more than likely. It's to show that you can do it on a fairly consistent basis.
And going back to health, like Chris said a moment ago, which is the most paramount thing when it comes to what's happening on this bye week, I don't think it can be understated the importance of Lenoris Sellers being healthy this time around, because at the last bye week, he had not played in the past game and a half, got hurt right before halftime against LSU, didn't play against Akron, and again was banged up going through the bye week as well. So having him healthy, and yes, you're going to have limited practice this week, but you'll be a full go for next week leading up to A&M for that from the development standpoint, getting more chemistry, continuing to improve the passing game. I think that's worth something because, again, you came out very flat against Ole Miss, and I'm not saying it's all because of Sellers and not being 100% during that bye week, but I imagine him being ready this time around will only help you out, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is a guy that needed to play, and we've seen growth in different areas from Sellers over the season, even in the midst of the turnover struggles, which are well documented and you can't argue against, right? They were a struggle. They were a problem. Those were, he put the ball in danger, I think, once last week through the air. Could have been, I would say should have been a pick, right? So you still kind of make a note of that. Can he string together multiple games, and that starts with the next game, right, of taking better care of the ball, not just him, the entire team. that will be big. Even when in the midst of that struggle, though, in that multi-game stretch, you could still see growth. Like, if you couldn't see growth from game 1 to, what he did in game 5, game 6, like, you're being a little bit unfair. The big thing that he had to do was cut down on the turnovers, take better care of the ball. And so I'm not saying that problem's fixed. It was fixed last game for the most part. You got to continue to fix that going forward. Another thing for this team, I like what you said, Wes, just the efficiency of it overall. Can you find a way to not go backwards as much, whether that's penalties? We know this team's had a lot of negative plays, a lot of sacks. What can you do during the bye week when you're self-scouting, looking at your tendencies? You're still I think this offense, that's part of the identity. They're going to have pass protection struggles. They're going to have, an overabundance of negative plays, I think. But can you cut down on those a little bit over these next few games? I think that's another key.
Plenty of things to talk about as the bye week goes along. Some accolades being handed out yesterday for a couple of Gamecock defenders after the great performance against Oklahoma on Saturday. We'll dive into that coming up next. It is a bye week, but that does not mean we're going to be without high school football. Love Chevrolet High School Football Scoreboard Show going on, as always, on Friday from 7 until 11 p.m. with Justin Hall, Elijah Campbell, and Ed Bird. Again, that's this Friday from 7 until 11 p.m. here on The Game. We'll come back, continue on with talking Gamecock football, the accolades of the defense coming here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on The Game.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Hey, paying for streaming? One more thing you got to stream and pay for? Well, the Game app is, wait for it, free.
It's free! It's free! It's free!
Yes, all you got to do is go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app and listen for nothing in all respects of the word. Nothing. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20K off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Y'all, I'm getting really excited here in the month of October about Firehouse Subs. We're always excited about Firehouse Subs, but they've got a few new things going on. First of all, next Monday, we'll be out at the brand new, so this would be, I think, number 15, guys, Firehouse Subs out at Sparkleberry. That's 10136 Two Notch Road in Columbia. We will be out there 9 to noon. Stores should open at 10. Come see us. Put it on your calendar next Monday. But also a couple more things. The Thanksgiving turkey sub. Woo, we had that thing last year. Really good. Premium carved turkey, cranberry, mayo, and it's also got the dressing on it. Go order it now, firehousesubs.com or the Firehouse Subs app. And if you haven't heard, the hot sauce bar is back at Firehouse Subs. If you remember back in the day, you go in, check out all the different hot sauces. They've got it back. Add some flavor to any sub when you dine in or pick up firehousesubs.com.
Pool and Spa is the place for all things swimming pool and hot tub. Need a new vinyl liner? This is the perfect time of year to have your faded or worn out liner replaced. Call or come see us to repair, replace, or upgrade your existing equipment. Want to cover your pool to keep out all those fall leaves? A new safety cover is the answer, and it's safe for the kids and pets. That's Pete Elwine Pool and Spa, 5541 Sunset Boulevard. You'll find us on Facebook or online at PeteElwinePools.com.
I'm Russell Ott. If you're like most people I talk to, you're just tired of the nonsense in politics. It's getting harder and harder to really know where candidates stand on the issues. Politicians seem to pledge their allegiance to parties rather than people. All the silly games do nothing to help families and businesses that are struggling to pay the bills. It's time to push back on politics as usual and get back to common sense solutions that work. That's how we create a stronger South Carolina. I'm Russell Ott, and I'm asking for your vote for state senate so I can get to work for you.
Paid for by Ott for Senate.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
Is arthritic pain keeping you from doing the things you love? Pain in your knees, hips, backs, or shoulders? It's Preston Thorne, and I'm here for the good folks at QC Kinetics. Did you know you can now use your body's own healing properties to revitalize your ankle joints and get you real lasting pain relief? I'll tell you what, they didn't have this way back in the days when I used to play. People in Columbia are getting their lives back and getting their mobility back thanks to QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies that can revitalize your joints. So it doesn't matter whether it's back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, or knee pain. These are cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, and especially no downtime. I wish I would have had this way back then. All you have to do is come in for a quick in-office procedure, and they'll get you moving again. These protocols have been developed by medical professionals under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell Schonkup. You owe it to yourself to learn more. So call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. Again, 803-281-6860.
Are you ready for some football? Scott here with Gamecock Traditions, inviting you to check out our huge selection of Gamecock merchandise. After you picked out your outfit, got your new decals for your car, and updated your tailgate, be sure to get your free beat stickers and your wall posters before you leave. If you can't get to the store, shop GamecockTraditions.com, where we can ship your order to you or have it ready for you to pick up on the way to the game at our Lexington store. Gamecock Traditions, 5134 Sunset Boulevard, or at the Village at Sand Hills. Gamecock Traditions, your everything Gamecock store.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark along with you on your Tuesday. Of course, yesterday we talked so much about the defense for South Carolina and their dominant performance against Oklahoma on Saturday. And to no surprise, the accolades have started rolling in. Of course, you had Nicky Amori named one of the co-defensive players of the week in the SEC, but he's not the only one that got some praise coming away from the weekend. Brian Thomas Jr., as well as Nicky Amori and Demetrius Knight, all named to the Pro Football Focused Team of the Week with their performances on Saturday. Brian Thomas Jr., 3 pressures, 2 hurries, 1 sack, a forced fumble. Demetrius Knight, 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. And then Nicky Amori with his 2 interceptions and 11 tackles himself as well. And if that's not a microcosm for how good this defense is, that is one player at each and every level of it that really shows what a dominant performance they had on Saturday.
But yet there's some other guys on the defense probably going, what about me?
You could have gone with 4, 5, 6 different guys to earn this, but well-deserved by those 3 guys, certainly.
Yeah, no doubt. And, hey, here's a little storyline. How about Brian Thomas Jr.? You remember last year before the season, and I know last season was nothing to write home about for sure, but we had kind of gotten some info before the year that, like, the staff really likes Brian Thomas Jr. and pretty much considers him a starter/co-starter. And I think he ended up starting 6 games last year. But there was so much conversation coming into this year about, hey, Dylan Stewart's getting added to the fold as a 5-star freshman, and Kyle Kennard and Gilbert Edmonds coming back. And look, those are all obviously very impactful adds, and they're still going to get the lion's share of the attention Kennard and Stewart are, and they're the starters. But Brian Thomas Jr. was very quietly, I think, and is an important part of this team. And, he's been really good as a pass rusher. I think he played 27 snaps. That's pretty much what he's going to give you probably in a game, 20, 25, 30 snaps. But he's going to cause some issues as a pass rusher, undersized guy. But he's just really, really smart. And he had a big impact, as did so many others. But even in that performance where everybody played well, he was really good.
Yeah, and guys, I think he is sort of, I would say, maybe if you were listing the guys that have taken advantage or been most impacted by that influx of talent, B2 might be one of the guys who has most just taken advantage of all that attention on those other guys. We've maybe talked about, hey, the defensive linemen, like the interior guys, are not getting enough love, but now they kind of are because we all keep talking about it. But Brian Thomas Jr. probably not getting quite as much attention as those other guys you mentioned. But he's steadily been in the backfield as well. I think because of the fact he is undersized for an SEC kind of edge guy, what he was being asked to do last year was kind of tough on him. Now he went out and did it, but now you put him on a front where basically you feel like if you're the opponent, you feel bad about any one-on-one situation, and you can't double them all. So Brian Thomas Jr. probably not the first or second or even third guy out there as an opponent that you're focused on, but then you look up and he's sitting there with a very productive day like he had on Saturday. And actually, guys, PFF, which I don't know, like PFF, it is a great resource. We talk about this all the time. They do lose me in a lot of areas, but let's put this as a positive for BT. He's 5th on the defense right now in overall grade for the season. Mm-hmm. So now I think the grades, I mean, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, is this more about just down-to-down consistency? Like I feel like the PFF grades at times just do not give enough love for just game-changing plays. Like, you can't tell me, and I took Kamara out of there. Kamara's actually top 5. He's 5th as far as PFF grade on defense. You can't tell me that Kyle Kennard is 8th. Like, for the season, like, are you serious? Like, I just do not buy that. Like, I know that they have to stick to their method, and whatever the method is, it is what it is. You can't tell me that he's 8th on this defense in terms of overall grade. Now, it is a defense that has a ton of guys that are highly graded, so that does play into it. And hey, have y'all looked at this? I was going to quiz y'all, but have y'all looked at who's?
I was going to say I'm looking at it now, and I think Kennard's coverage grade, which you're not asking your edge guys to do a whole lot of covering. I think that's what kind of knocks them down a little bit there, because that defensive grade is across the board for run defense, tackling, pressure, as well as coverage. So that will kind of weighs him down a little bit there in that regard.
Well, he's only got one coverage snap.
Yeah.
So
well, it was scored as a 60 for that one. It was that scored as a 60 for that one coverage snap then.
Yeah.
Well, 60 for them is average. 60 is you did nothing good or bad.
You were there.
I think that was that one we were talking about yesterday, Wes, where they ran a delayed safety blitz, and I think Kennard was out there and he just dropped back into zone. So I guess that was his grade. Good job, kinda dropping back into zone.
Well, I don't think Chris is looking at this. So you can quiz him.
Yeah, go ahead, quiz me.
Yeah, Chris, who do you think is top 3 on defense this year in terms of grade?
For the whole year.
For the year, not for the game.
Yeah. Well,
I will say that it's obviously not Kennard.
And I assume you're given some kind of cutoff, like a guy that's played 7 snaps can't be in the top 3.
Well, the top 4 guys are all, and players. This is kind of rare, I feel like. They all are legitimate starters or co-starters.
Which is a good sign, actually.
Yeah.
Top 3, Demetrius Knight.
Yep, he's 2.
Tonka Hemingway.
Nope.
Nick Emanwari. That would have been probably my guesses.
He's 1. He's first.
And Knight's
you got another
2.
guess for the third?
Jalen Kilgore?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking in the right area.
Right area.
Forgotten guy a little bit, man.
Right area of the defense.
DQ Smith?
No. Getting warmer.
Judge Carter?
Getting warmer.
OD.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. He's been really good, actually.
TJ Sanders 4. Kamara 5. We don't really count that. Brian Thomas next. And then Jamal Weiss in 9 snaps. And then Kennard. So JT Gear after Kennard, and then Jalen Kilgore next.
Remember JT Gear starting game 1, too? I mean.
And the question we had about that?
Yeah. Kind of like, oh, okay. That was interesting. But, I mean, hey, before the season, man, Sterling Lucas the coach of those guys out on the edge, he said, I got 7 guys I feel good about, and that's pretty much...
We've seen it.
We've pretty much seen that.
Again, Kennard and Stewart obviously leading the way there, and this Saturday, everybody got a little bit of theirs, but Gear and Gilbert Edmond, all these guys, Brian Thomas Jr., are going out there and making an impact when their number's called, and that's the beauty of having the depth that you have, especially at a spot like that, and, when you have such a great pass rush, the rest of your defense falls in line, too.
Yeah, guys, I still think, when we have talked about this is not a new thought, but I still think the secondary got a pretty bad rep last year because of the lack of pass rush. And I think we're seeing this year, when those two things sort of are both in good shape, you're getting, like, look at some of those sacks this week. Yes, there was a lot of pressure. There was that initial pressure. But if the guys are able to get open immediately, it's hard for your pass rush to get home as well. So I think just all 3 phases of this defense have been really good. I think the team speed, certainly a linebacker where they're way faster and more athletic than they were, has been on display as well.
We'll take a look around the SEC as we didn't really get a chance to dive into the games that happened over the weekend and where things kind of sit as we are working the back half of this year's regular season. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tower Head West Mitchell, Chris Clark on your Tuesday here on The Game.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-881-4300. 800-881-4300. 800-881-4300.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. As a business owner in these uncertain economic times, you struggle to guard your life's work against unexpected challenges. But can it withstand the sudden disruption of a divorce? When your hard-earned work is at risk, count on our experience and advocacy in handling these matters at Cordell & Cordell.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Columbia area attorneys. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. 1201 Main Street, Suite 840, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. CordellCordell.com.
The Columbia Chamber is teaming up with Greater Casey West Columbia Chamber to host a friendly sporting clay tournament Wednesday, November 20th. This unique and entertaining fundraiser will consist of a friendly sporting clay competition, followed by prizes for teams and individuals with lunch and a post-tournament reception. The proceeds will benefit both chambers to continue to support and promote their business communities. For details on registration and sponsorships, visit ColumbiaChamber.com. Don't miss the Sporting Clay Tournament, November 20th.
What you're talking about. Sponsored by Love Chevy. It's back to cool season with big-time savings on Tahoe Suburbans and the all-new Chevy Traverse. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips here with Ben Cato, third generation owner of Cato's Power Equipment. You hear me talk all the time about my awesome 30-inch Toro Time Master. It has made my yard work so much easier. I'm spending more time with the family on weekends. Neighbors are jealous of my yard most of the time. Guys, I just feel good when I'm behind that mower.
I'm glad you do, Jay. You and I are different people. I love selling the equipment. I love working on the equipment. I don't really enjoy using the equipment, but hey, doesn't matter. You're a little lazy like me, or you wake up on the weekend super excited to mow your lawn. It's got to get done, right?
All right, so why not get it done with the best tools possible? Do what I did. Visit the guys at Cato's Power Equipment. Let them show you all the ways they can revolutionize your grass cutting obligations.
Whether you're doing it to keep the HOA happy, the wife happy, or you cut grass for a living, big or small, any budget, Cato's Power Equipment is here to help.
Visit Cato's Power Equipment today, 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, and always online at catospowerequipment.com.
The Firehouse Captain's Club features their signature Captain Sorensen's hot sauce and their new Firehouse Hero Sauce, along with savory oven-roasted chicken, melted pepper jack cheese, crushed red pepper flakes, crispy smoky bacon, lettuce, tomato, and onions. Be sure to try the Captain's Club today at any one of the 14 Midlands Firehouse locations. Order ahead with the Rapid Rescue to go. But if a sampling platter is more your style, get all of your game day tailgate needs online at firehousesubs.com. Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West Mitchell and Chris Clark along with you here on your Tuesday on the game. No game this weekend for the Gamecocks when they return next Saturday against Texas A&M. $800 up for grabs in the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Touchdown Contest as they take on the Texas A&M Aggies. Go online to 1075thegame.com. Register for your chance to win all that money if the Gamecocks do score that Special Teams touchdown. Thanks to our friends over at Lawyer Lisa's for Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. We've spent obviously a lot of time talking about what happened with the Gamecocks and the Sooners in Norman on Saturday. Of course, a lot of other things happened in the SEC. Chris and myself talked about Georgia and Texas and Austin a little bit in the last hour, but another huge game that had college football playoff implications as well, with Tennessee for the second time in 3 years taking out Alabama in Neyland Stadium, as now Alabama has no margin for error going forward in the last couple games of the season if they want to get to the playoff in year number 1 under Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, guys, I said this at the time, like after Carolina played Bama, and I think this maybe solidifies it a little bit more, but doesn't it just feel like the aura of playing Alabama? And it was almost like you used to hear about golfers who would just playing Tiger Woods, like not even anything, he hadn't even done anything yet, but just playing Tiger Woods puts you kind of behind your normal level of performance because of just everything that goes along with sort of maybe it's a historic moment for you as a player. And under Saban, there was just something different. You just knew you were going against the greatest of all time. And to be fair, like we've talked about it, some of those Bama teams towards the end, you could see they were not quite on the same level as his best Alabama teams. But now, I think did Vandy just break the Bama cannot be beaten? Like you have to have a special day to beat Bama. I don't know. Like that, I feel like that almost breaks our brains to even think about Vanderbilt beating Alabama. And so, to me, it really didn't feel like some grand upset anymore that Tennessee beat Alabama. We saw them do it a couple of years ago in Knoxville. It didn't, frankly, even feel like a storm the field type result. To me, it was just two good, maybe really good SEC teams going at it, close game. The team that made the plays late won the game, but it did not feel like some massive upset. And that sort of, to me, is another example of just the new college football world, the new college landscape that we are in. And that's just that Bama is not Bama anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, watching the Tennessee-Bama game, it was a good game.
Entertaining game.
But it was just kind of a regular entertaining game. We've seen a bunch of them this year. And I'll say this, being at, I'm going to kind of draw a distinction between a couple South Carolina games that I attended in person. So the Bama game this year in Tuscaloosa, I went to that game. And honestly, even though Vandy had just beaten Alabama, most Gamecock fans that I spoke with, and most of the ones that we interact with on Gamecock Central, most of them were kind of, I hope we can keep it close. That really was the sentiment. And Shane Beamer talked about that. He pushed back against that. Nobody gave us a chance. Everybody thought it was going to be a blowout, obviously using that. And watching the game, though, yeah, Carolina played better than a lot of people expected. Even myself, I would say. I think I picked a 2-touchdown Alabama win. So they played better than almost anybody expected. But you weren't sitting there watching the game going, this is unbelievable, because you're just watching. You're watching the lines of scrimmage. You're watching the game play out. It looked evenly matched. And if you compare that to, say, 2022 Tennessee, South Carolina, where you're sitting there going, this is unbelievable, especially because of what I just watched South Carolina do the previous week, how great Tennessee was that year, particularly on offense. It was just different. So to your point, Wes, I mean, it's not a shock when Bama loses a game this year. And maybe it had started going that way at the end of the Saban tenure, but this has a different kind of feel now.
Well, one thing that sticks out to me about Alabama is they don't have something that sets them apart from everybody else. Think about those great Saban teams. And yeah, sometimes the offense wasn't great, but they always had a great defense, whether that be on one level or all levels. Like now, they just look like another team, a good team, one that has a ton of talent, one that is capable of winning a lot of games, but there's no element to their team that's dominant anymore. Yeah, we thought at the beginning of the year, like, man, Jalen Milroe looks like he's going to be the best quarterback in the SEC. Well, he's regressed a lot in these past couple of weeks. We thought Ryan Williams was going to go out there and snatch 200 yards and 3 touchdowns every game. He hasn't done a whole lot in the past couple games. So even the small glimpses of, wow, this is going to be their thing this year has kind of come back down to earth. And again, they're still a very good team, one that's capable of winning 9-10 games this year, maybe even making the playoffs still. But they're not this, like, unstoppable force like they've been in years past. They're just kind of another team, a good team, but another team.
Yeah, they're not the juggernaut. They're not the game that you look at where you say, all right, for them to lose, that other team has to have, 1, a ton of breaks, and 2, like their best game of the year. And, it just has to be like we talk about, if you played a team 10 times, how many different ways would the sort of series be split? It used to almost be like you just got to hope that's the 1 out of 10 that you find a way to win the thing. And now it just does not feel that way to me anymore. Now, guys, they could still get in the playoff. Milroe could sort of tighten up a little bit and go on a run, and then we're sitting here talking about them playing for a national title. Like, that's really not that far-fetched. Like, they did beat Georgia, who, people kind of buried a little bit after that, and then Georgia turns around and beats Texas at Texas. So I think they're still very capable, but to me, you're much more playing within the margins of who gets the bounces, who makes the plays on that given day, as opposed to just, all right, Bama's going to show up. If they do what they're supposed to do, you really don't have much of a chance. And I think Milroe has kind of been, as talented as he is, as dynamic as he is, he's been exposed a little bit in terms of, if you get pressure on him, if you can find a way to get pressure while also keeping him in the pocket, he becomes like pretty much every other quarterback out there, in that guys don't like getting hit. They don't really excel in going through reads when they're hurried and are sort of in a situation where they're about to get hit by opponents. And so he's no different than anybody else. And also, on the other side, I feel like there's been a good bit more pressure on this offense to perform because the defense is doing things that we're just not used to seeing from Alabama defenses. And to add it all up, what do y'all think about just the pressure that this staff is feeling? Because, they want to come in and be themselves, and you don't want to try to be Saban. Like, if you're the staff, you have to do things the way you've always done things to an extent. But then the second things aren't working, you have to deal with Well, that's not the way Saban would have done it. Saban would not wear a T-shirt on the sideline. Saban wouldn't have people doing jump shots on a quarterback sneak, which I still don't know what that was. But, here's the thing. Be yourself. That's what people tell you. But only be yourself if you're going to win every game.
That's why you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy, because you're always going to get compared to him.
I would have chilled at Washington, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not like he came from where was he before in the small school? Not
he was
Fresno,
at Fresno
but
State before that. But Sioux Falls.
Sioux Falls, yeah. It's not like okay, going from Sioux Falls to Bama. I get it. He had a good job. He was just in the national title game. Chris Peterson used to boat to work at Washington. I would have chilled out there. That's just me. Kudos to him for having the mentality of going in and doing that. But man, that's a tough thing.
Yeah, it's getting and it's not a hot seat. They're not going to fire him, but it's getting uncomfortable in Tuscaloosa, losing 2 out of the last 3 with still a trip to Death Valley to go in the regular season for the Crimson Tide. We'll come back, wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. I want to have one more thought on Oklahoma, because they made an announcement yesterday, which makes sense, but it does raise the question of, well, what's the rest of the year going to look like for this team as Brent Venables tries to figure it out in year number 3. That's coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here in the game.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
This is Maggie Gray with a Sports Minute. Matthew McConaughey has spoken. The actor and Texas Longhorns alum released a statement imploring fans in the student section to, quote, be better after they threw bottles onto the field Saturday night when a questionable penalty call went against them. My question? The next controversial penalty call that goes against Texas? Well, the students ask, what would Matthew McConaughey do right now? Doubt it. I'm Maggie Gray.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
It's your broker, Benji Getzy. 6 straight weeks of declining rates. Now is the time. V8 30-year fixed, 4.8%, APR 5.2. 30-year conventional, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home investors, 6.4%. DSCR and fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. So visit Buford.mortgage for the fastest rate quotes in the industry, available 24/7. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play.
run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour
with Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, and Tyler Head
on the Game Network.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I told Coach V that, if things were going to continue to go like how they were, I didn't want to take, pointless snaps and burn a red shirt if it was there for me to keep. But I also told him that if you need me for anything to come in and win the game, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I've invested so much in the team 130, and I was going to be there for them regardless.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Towerhead, Wes Mitchell, and Chris Clark along with you here. That was Jackson Arnold talking after the game on Saturday after, of course, he got brought in early on after Michael Hawkins Jr. was struggling against South Carolina's defense and burned his red shirt in the process of doing that. And look, we've said kind of all we need to say about what happened in Norman on Saturday. Carolina won, dominated with defense. But I think this story around Oklahoma's quarterback situation is so intriguing. And of course, it all started with Jackson Arnold. They were very quick to pull him from the game against Tennessee and put Hawkins Jr. in. Hawkins Jr. hasn't looked much better. But again, when you have a bad offensive line, we don't have a lot of weapons around you, can only be so successful. And I think we're looking at a realistic possibility that the entire Oklahoma quarterback room could be gutted by the end of the year. And then what does Brent Venables do?
Yeah, you didn't used to have to think about that, right? Like, if a guy the opportunity to transfer was still there before the portal and the free transfer, but you knew you had to go sit out. Jackson Arnold, Michael Hawkins Jr., those guys are talented enough. I mean, Arnold was one of the top quarterbacks in the country, the top quarterback by some services in the country. They can go land at another, Power 4 school. They're good enough to do that, but they would have to sit out. Well, now you don't have to, right? So you're trying to balance it. Not only this season, but you're trying to balance it in the longer term, being next year, which is shaping up to be probably a very big year for Brent Venables. Probably not going to get fired after this year, just got an extension. But next year will certainly be potentially a make or break. And so you got two guys who are both looking at it going, okay, well, if you're Michael Hawkins Jr., I didn't start the season. I got put in, then I got benched. If you're Jackson Arnold, I started. I was supposed to be the guy. Then I got benched. Then I got put back in. And so what are you to really believe? You're probably going into next year, you're probably going to have an open quarterback competition. Some guys may look at that and say, I think I can win it, but I don't know. Yeah. And so even if I think I win it, maybe the coach doesn't feel the same way. Do I want to take that risk? So there is a lot at stake, and it's, this is just one example of why it's so tough to manage a roster in 2024, and it's at a critical position.
They're going, well, we're going portal hopping ourselves. So, we're looking at this. Are they worried about one or two of the guys leaving? They may be sitting there going, we just have to upgrade, period. And so I think there are multiple sides to this. Who do you bring in as the full-time OC? That's what's most important, honestly. You've got to get this hire right, and it seems way premature to be talking like that. But when you're going into the SEC, as Oklahoma is, and you're sort of seeing, there was that quote from Saban going around, hey, Texas has built themselves as an SEC program, SEC roster. Oklahoma has not. Just the pressure on you to win has ramped up very, very quickly. That's a very proud Oklahoma program. They've got 7 Heisman Trophy winners, so you're used to having offensive just superstars over the years, and that's not the case with this team. Now, you can take Steve Spurrier in his prime, and you're not going to have great play calling with the group Oklahoma has right now. You can put, I don't know, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson. You could put any great quarterback behind that line, and with what they've had out there at receiver, and I don't know if you're going to do much either. So the scary part, if you're Oklahoma, there is no easy, obvious fix at this point. I mean, who knows? Latrell may be a good offensive mind. He kind of got scapegoated a little bit, but also the other side, it's a bad look, guys, when the very first thing that Cole Kubelik says on the broadcast is, hey, you blocked one of the best pass rushers in the SEC on the first play with a tight end.
Yeah, that was certainly not a good look. And they did it more than once, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that was throughout the game.
And at some points, I heard it said yesterday, at some point, you got 5 offensive linemen trying to block 4. That can be hard in the SEC, right? Shane Beamer pointed out the other day, you look up every team you play, NFL draft pick, and a lot of times high, and not fringe, like definite future star NFL guys that you're lining up against. Sometimes a team's going to send 6, 7, and so you're always having to make decisions when you scheme it up. What are they going to do? You're guessing. You're trying to scheme based on what they've shown on tape, which you're going to get differences every week. Sometimes they're going to bring more than you can block based on what you have called. So you got to be able to make adjustments off that. That's a little bit more, right, where play calling comes in. But for Oklahoma, a lot of times they tried to keep extra guys in, and it didn't matter because South Carolina is still overloading them, or they're getting home with sending a lesser amount of guys. That really changes the game and changes the equation. And for Oklahoma, they're down 5 receivers. They're down their best guys. They're still playing young quarterbacks. They're really, really poor up front. It's just not a good formula. But they're finding out. They're not going out and playing. No disrespect, they're not playing Kansas and who else from the Big 12 every week. Like you're playing, that is probably the biggest difference is on the line of scrimmage week in and week out, and that's what they're getting.
Well, to quote our buddy Preston Thorne from the early game, things are perfect here in South Carolina, but at least we in Oklahoma.
Oh, that's something to say.
It's true.
I mean, it is true.
I know it's weird, but that's where things are at as of right now, and we'll see what Oklahoma does for the rest of the season. But Carolina got their win against them, and now they move on to the bye week, and A&M coming up after that. That'll do it for the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Halftime show with myself, Terry Ford, coming up as we navigate the bye week here on your Tuesday on the Game.
.1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Between you and me, I always knew that I needed life insurance, but I just kept putting it off. Then I found the Gerber Life Guaranteed Life Plan, and it took all the worry out. Now I know I won't be a burden to my family because it can help to cover my